Ukrainian army do not fall into that category. They're normal people, most of whom would prefer to be home.
And as to the Azov battalion, most of them are now dead or wounded, right?
Yeah, I think so, but they seem to have replenished some of their ranks. They went into a long period of raising new manpower and new people. That seems to have happened. How many of them are around and how effective they are, I don't know. I'm told that a group of these radicals surround Zelensky and his government, and probably to ensure that no one there considers seriously negotiating with Moscow.
And what is your impression, or do you have any kind of polling data or intuition or anecdotal data about the attitude towards Zelensky among the expatriate community of Ukrainians in Europe and in the United States?
The further away you get from Ukraine, the further away you are from the war zone, the more Ukrainians you will find that support Zelensky. The closer you get to Ukraine, and when you move into the war zone, that's where you begin to discover his support is largely gone. Without the secret police, without the threat of violence against individuals, I don't think he would stay in power for very long.
And without further ado...
All right, I have to put... You can hear me, but I think it'd be better if I got the microphone in. Let me see. Better for clarity. Be better for clarity. There it is. I see it. I see it. I don't have a secretary. It's just me. And I'm not. Let's see. Okay. 5 minutes. 5 minutes until the hamster. Hey, Dalen. Toro. Yeah, looking dapper. Feeling less than dapper. AMC has no ceiling. I don't care what the SEC does. I'm printing a billboard for it this week. Why not? Why not? Hey, Eddie Eagle. Pete the Greek. Susan Michaels. Zzz. Fritz. Present. Gerald Porter. Arnolfo. Thomas Dubois. Buenos dias. Amigo. Hola, my old friend. Cinco de Mayo's on Tuesday. And I had hoped I'd see you by then. You killed my brother. All right, 3 minutes to go. Are we going to squeeze soon? I personally don't think we're going to do very much this week. I think August might be more of our time frame, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Stocks don't go down so sharply and then just turn around and come up, unless we're in the middle of a squeeze. But I don't know. Just feels like it needs a little more time. Will GTII and Finger get some AMC spillover? The way I view it, I hope not, because I don't think AMC is going anywhere. But that's me. I would love it if AMC just skyrockets. And if it does, yes, we would definitely get spillover. What's going on with GTII today? Why the spike? Any news? Well, we'll ask that of the man. Okay. I'm gonna. Mic open. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
It's your time to shine.
All right, everybody, welcome. It's Monday, 1:30 conference call. We had to do it a little early. I have a big pickleball game later on, and I don't have time to waste chasing short sellers around today. Again, this is not to buy or sell. This is for educational purposes on security fraud, something that the U.S. government can't seem to figure out. Anyway, let me start off by number one. Some of the strength is seen in GTI. A few people I know are selling Wolf and buying GTII. I don't know the size. I don't know what they're doing, but they are accumulating it. I've always told you accumulation will always lead to higher prices. Remember, investors, you can only sell it one time. And the short sellers get tired of trying to sell it down because they know they're going to get less for their sale. Once they shake the tree and get people to bail out, then it comes down to where it's accumulation and it just walks back up. The same pattern that you're seeing in GTII, you are now starting to see in Finger. After the ruthless attack, okay, by the short sellers trying to break strikes and steal the option money, okay, again, we can't stop that. That is the SEC's job, not our job. They can do this at any time. Again, the lower it goes, the more stock they sell, the less money they get, and eventually accumulation will eventually wear them out. Okay, that's number two. Number three, I had the pleasure of meeting John Stewart, and I sat down with him this weekend, and I went over all the details that anybody would want to tell him, and he understands it. He told me that he's been attacked by some of these market maker firms. It's funny how when you try to take away their livelihood, they attack. Okay? And one of them is Virtue. So again, these guys know they have the golden ticket. They're just stealing with no one stopping them. And when you threaten them or go after them, they attack. That's why you see bashers attacking. Who is against security fraud? Anyone that's defending it, is a basher. Okay? There's no way that I'm cheering for Bonnie and Clyde to rob banks. I just don't do it. Okay? So to sit here and cheer on and post that this stock is going low or that these guys are just paid, it's nonsense. Don't waste your breath on them. They're just criminals being paid because they are losing their livelihood. All these day trading firms that allow them to naked short, all right, or have direct access and naked short using the loophole, they are losing their livelihood. So all these little criminals like Timothy Sykes who do all these bear raids, okay, these guys steal their threes and the $4,000 and they just move on to a different stock. That is criminal activity. For those who think that we are just here, we could have walked away from Finger 4 times already, GTII on every rally. We're still here. We're not going away until justice is served, and it will be served. Right? We're not going away. We stay here. You follow the same names, understand everything about it, and this is way you make your investment decisions. I'm not a dart thrower. I don't like to throw darts and just jump in from stock to stock. Momentum is going. I'm in here. You know what? I'm not playing. I don't do that. So if you want that information, that's 2 doors down is the volume group, and good luck with that. I just, William, before I go on to you, is I've spoke about AMC. I wish them all the best, all those poor people that are stuck. But if I was the short, I would do exactly what they did. Open it up higher, drive it down, like I told you, scoop it up, and now the next leg up, every time it goes up, all the people who bought stock will eventually sell it and say, hey, I had enough, let me get out, I misread it, whatever it may be. That's the perfect pattern for the shorts to cover. Do I see it going higher? It looks to me like it wants to go higher, but again, I don't trust the whole situation with the CEO. I'm not an expert on it, but I wish everyone in those names to actually make back whatever they lost in it. I hope and pray that they do. So again, any questions, William?
I'm just seeing one here. FINRA requested the entire appellate panel to overturn the 3-judge panel granting an injunction in favor of Alpine. I don't really have a lot of questions. One was, is anything going...
You lost me on that. I wasn't expecting an Alpine out of the gate. What was it?
It's apparently FINRA... excuse me. FINRA has requested an appellate panel to overturn the 3-judge panel's ruling, which granted an injunction in favor of Alpine. So I guess FINRA's fighting back.
So here it is. It's the regulators. I can't win against the crooks. It's just fascinating that they have to drag this out. And they're dragging it out for a reason. I don't know the reason, but eventually, when you have a regulator that up your ass, it's not going to end well. So you can say they can sit there and do what they want and hide behind the laws. Now, tomorrow, I think I'm meeting Mark Bazil, the attorney, and I want to discuss with him his case that he won against Gibson Dunn in L.A. I can't remember the symbol of the stock. I posted it before. I can't remember it. But I'll try to get the details on it and see what he can and cannot tell me about those cases, because, he's been fighting all these guys on the sale of unrestricted securities, and he's the one that's going after him, usury fraud. So he has a lot of tough battles out here, but maybe we can find him some new clients that he can help out also with. Right.
Well, he's certainly been fighting the good fight on our behalf.
Yeah, he's people, it takes money to fight the biggest players in the world. Goldman, Morgan, these guys have pockets that are so deep. It's, so you really have to pigeonhole. You catch them when they're committing security fraud, and that's the only way you can really get them, whether it's spoofing, washing. All the money in the world can't protect you then.
It's odd that we have to catch them at securities fraud and not the SEC, but... Anyway.
Well, just look at FINRA. They can't even shut them down.
Yeah.
Everybody knows these guys are just complete criminals at Alpine, and yet the FINRA has a tough time. The regulator trying to shut them down is having a tough time because they hire these fancy law firms to buy time, and that's what they do.
Do you still think there's a 3-week window in terms of a buy-in going on in Finger?
I 100% believe Finger will squeeze. I do believe it. The patterns are, the attacks, the drive down from 7 to 4 at the market on expiration tells you, and just look at all those puts that we're trading on the Finger motion side. I'll give you an example. From no puts trading, only calls, they crossed 3,800 of the 4s, 2,800 of the 5s, and 1,300 of the $6 puts. There is no market in these options, meaning that the only reason there's any activity, it's the short to create more stock to sell. That's all they were doing on the put side.
I don't quite understand that, but that's...
Well, they can, when you buy a put, the gentleman that sells it to you has to hedge himself. All right, so he will short the stock, right? Trying to hedge it. Again, they were using that to drive down the stock. The short as it's going
that
down.
I understand, yeah.
The only person in that game, there's no market maker playing this game. There's no one going to get into this game. It's them to themselves. So they cross the options to themselves, and the guy who buys them is shorting it against it. That's all. They're triple short, in other words. You can't. They're shorting at any angle they can. They're naked short. They're probably selling stock as a long short. They're buying puts to create a short, and they borrow the shares to create a short. So they're short 4 times, 4 different ways. anything to stop the upside momentum. That's all it's about.
Did you get an impression with John Stewart that there's some sort of time frame where he might do
John
something?
Stewart, John Stewart is a great man, and he will do something. He brought up the MMTLP to me. We talked about that in great length. I set him straight on the facts and who the players are here. I offered to get him straight to the table if he needed any help. He couldn't believe that all the good people that are trapped in this name and their money was just taken with no recourse. He has it. He understands it.
Is there something going on with GTII? I guess it was up earlier. I didn't look. Anything new?
Accumulation. Listen, people, GTI is not going away. I've told you before, companies need to have lawyers, filings, completion of transactions. It's not easy. Just think how hard it has to be when you're trying to close a transaction where your company's, where your currency is your stock price. How do you close transactions or do deals when your stock price is so volatile and it's always to the downside? So it's very difficult. So I give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I do believe that they will get something done. Again, I don't know which one it is. But just look at the fundamentals that Finger has. Okay, revenue's exploding, everything's growing, and the stock just gets attacked like it was going out of business. So fundamentals to me mean nothing. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that Finger Motion has tremendous fundamentals, because to maintain a $4, $5, $6 stock, you need fundamentals to actually support what's going on. But for the most part, they attack everything. It's a disgrace, what you're saying.
Where are they finding the shares to sell?
There are no shares. They're creating them. Go to your copy machine, take your $20 bill out, make copies of it. That's what they're doing.
It's amazing. So, do you want to talk about the FBI? Is anything going on there?
A shareholder met with 2 FBI agents for over an hour. He's an elderly gentleman, came in well respected, and he sat down with them. He printed out all the files, which I'm told I had nothing to do with it. He went in on his own. The first question was all about the Kramers and GTII. They knew all about the Kramers and their toxic lending. They knew all about them, straight from the FBI's mouth. He asked them to check into, he gave them the information on that Westpac, that brokerage firm in San Diego who's defrauded. The FBI told them that they were going to reach out to the FBI in San Diego to see where that stands. So obviously they don't have all the details on every angle, but the brokerage firm being defrauded by the short is now being investigated, and that is a fact.
So the FBI can FUX with the Kramers?
FUX with the Kramers, yes. I believe they can walk with the Kramers, yes. Listen, William, I spoke to you before about this. People, if you stole $2, $3, $10, $30 million, whatever the number is, will you continue fighting this? What? You can only eat 1 steak a day. How many steaks can you possibly eat? How many cars can you? Just the money doesn't mean anything at some point. So why are they still doing it? Is number one. Well, but my guess is that they think they can get away from it forever, and they think they were going to become Warren Buffett. That's what these guys all think. Oh, I'm going to become a big hedge fund. I'm going to become Stevie Cohen, or I'm going to become King Farouk. I'm going to be the biggest and the best. So these guys are risking, like Lind Partners, risking their business, which they made probably millions doing, to go to jail as they continue to do it. Everyone knows their patterns. It's the same pattern. SYTA took a debenture at 10. The stock is 5 cents. What's not to think? Finger Motion paid them off, and we can't get rid of them. That tells you how trapped they are. The naked short in Kodak is north of 1 billion shares, and their squeeze trigger is $11. So you're talking about a $10 billion crime already. We should all get paid whistleblowing on that one. We can cure cancer with the money we can get from that fraud if they lock these guys up. Think about covering that stock back up. Again, I sent it to the politicians. I sent it to Jon Stewart, saved the city of Rochester from a once was a member of the Dow component.
Yeah, it was one of the Dow 30 for a long
So
time.
if it was a Dow 30, you know that the city of Rochester is old Kodak.
It was EK was the symbol.
Yes, Eddie King. All right. So to understand it, the whole city of Rochester, most people, their parents grew up there, working there. They worked there. Everything around it, the coffee shops, the car, everything was around the people that worked at that place. It was the biggest company there. So to actually have it, settle the trades, have this thing run back up, maybe they hire 300-500 people, get into some new business. The town, people pay their taxes. The whole thing just generates. It's like you can build a city just from having a productive company.
So one guy's asking if you ever talked to the FBI yourself.
I think I posted that and said it 70,000 times. Yes. I gave them all the information. My life was threatened. I've given it. I think I did it 3 times. I think I did it.
So one guy's asking, and I can't help him. I'm not sure you can either, but I happen to agree that he says, look, soon it's going to be December. Are we going to still be waiting on MMTLP? I personally think so because it's in the legal system now. But what are your thoughts?
MMTLP is the biggest headache for the SEC, FINRA, and the brokerage firms because they're all trapped. The longs are trapped, and I feel for you, but so are the shorts. And everybody's gunning for the shorts. No one's questioning the longs. They're gunning for the shorts. All they're doing is torturing the longs who have money tied up that can't afford to have money tied up. That is the criminal aspect of this thing, which is just heartbreaking to hear all the time. You know, people could would take their lives. People can lose their farms. People can lose their homes. Can't feed their families because their money's tied up in a short-term trading idea, and it turns into, lockdown.
Is there any risk that people have lost all of their investment in MMTLP?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Someone's asking about upstream. That's going to be a millstone. Is GTII going on upstream?
That's between GTII and upstream. I had a friend that works with the gentleman. I met with him in Miami. I posted the picture. I introduced him to Pat Byrne in Miami, the CEO. Again, that's just an alternative trading platform to get away from the shorts. What happens and the cost and what you have to do, that's up to the companies to decide what they want to do. My idea is to leave the whole country. It's a disgrace. And trap all these guys. Take your stock and get away. That's what I believe in.
Jennifer writes, MMTLP's getting a letter from a New Jersey congressman. You and I might have gone in the office in a week for support. Not legal advice expects big news soon on MMTLP. Not legal advice also says, explained further that FINRA is asking the entire appellate judgeship to review the 3-judge panel's decision, giving Alpine more time. So, has Ham bought any Finger or GTII for his future shortbuster for your little grandchild?
No, I'm tapped out. He's all in. That's it.
He's all in.
I got $8 in my account. I got $8 in whatever cash. And trust me, I didn't like seeing the countdown $180,000 in 3 days. I'm not thrilled about it. But I believe what's going to happen. I believe I'm going to see what's going to happen. I'm not going away. This is the 3rd attempt that this stock has run up. And I think these guys are trapped. We're well versed on what they're doing. We know who's here. We know how big the short is. And you know what? They can manipulate it, but we're not going away. This is what was missing in GameStop. GameStop, if people knew, my old friends if they believe what they saw and what we knew about GameStop, they wouldn't have sold it after they paid 3 3/4 and 4. They wouldn't have sold it at 5, 6, 8, 9, 15, 12. And our last sale that I know, my friends, was 115 or 118. I forgot the number. And I begged everybody, stay, don't. And you know what? I can't help it because we didn't know how big. I knew the short was big, but again, you can see what the damage is. Now everyone is educated because the cat's out of the bag. You can see AMC went from 1 to 77. How much money did AMC raise? How much did the CEO sell? How many billions of dollars came out of that run? Okay? Again, I feel bad for the people that bought it and never sold it. Shame on you. All right? The one thing I tell everybody, when you do have a situation like this, you can never turn a winning trade into a loser. Break even, I can deal with. A loser is shame on you. So as the stock goes, if you own 1,000 shares, my advice or what I would tell you to do is, hey, if you paid $4, you sell 108, 112, 116, 124, whatever. And you say, oh my goodness, I got rid of 400 shares. I don't have a penny on the table, and I have 600 shares that are free and clear. And I don't care if the stock runs, I can sell it anywhere I like, and it's all profit. It will never turn into a loser. You can never go broke as long as you're breaking even or making a few bucks. Then you can stay for the home run swing.
Can a FSU fan be trusted?
No. Because I hate every other college football team. I'm the worst college football fan in creation.
Do you think finger squeezes first?
Yes. It smells. It looks like it. There's smart people accumulating it. It just got that. It's got that taste in my mouth like this is showtime. It's coming. The attack tells you how desperate they are. Lynn Partners belongs in jail, and I'll be the first guy in the courtroom screaming to hang him when it's time.
Do higher interest rates, which might be coming, do they make it more difficult for the?
Yes. Listen, in this environment, you know, we're all looking for the SEC to hammer these guys. But when the borrowing cost increases, it's deadly for these guys. The stock price moving up, the cost to borrow. Guys, you remember that. Let's look at the finger short. It's 987,000 shares, the real short. So someone's paying to borrow the stock. Each day the stock opens up, they're paying interest on this thing, the cost to carry. Now, I've been posting that the short and finger motion was $1.50 before the guy added to it. He added his short to 987 up from, say it was 200 or something like that. So he raised it, but he did it in a spot somewhere between 275 and 350. So he didn't get the high price at 7. We will get to see tomorrow whether he added more at the high or he's covering on the attack. My guess is that he's trying to cover on the attack, but that's 1 million shares of stock. We will get the feeling whoever's shorting finger is 100% tied to the criminals. And I do think he's going to panic. He's not going to stay too long. He's being told it's being orchestrated by someone, and he's just following the pattern. Same thing in GTII. GTI short is way smaller on the real short, but it's obviously tied to the Kramer's mother, Charlie Mayo's cousin, somebody who's trying to make money outside of the LLC. But they're definitely getting instructions. They definitely get instructions from the naked short.
Do you think Jeffries is short in AMC or GME?
I'm sure Jeffries has plenty of accounts that are short. These guys all do. But the problem is when AMC creates the problem, at 20, 30 when it's ripping, that's when there's the risk of the hedge fund going belly up and leaving the mess to the prime brokers, whether it's Goldman, Morgan. These guys, trust me, the prime brokers, the big boy prime brokers took a beating in all these short squeezes. They took a beating in all those names because LLCs went belly up. Many hedge funds disappeared, okay? Guys running 5 million, 100 million, 200 million, they got wiped out. Okay, because they had to cover these things. They were selling them short, laughing like Timmy Sykes. We're short. When the short goes wrong, they get run over and they're out of business. All it takes is one.
With the market up so strongly, does that have an impact on either play?
Nah, the market up is... the market's being manipulated by a few stocks. I mean, you can't... I don't even... The equity market's completely... I'm a believer in, like, today Goldman's up 9, so there's your movement. What's the Dow up right now?
I have no idea.
100, everything, 70, 80, most of it's Goldman Sachs right there. What's JP Morgan doing?
It's up without Eastman Kodak.
Yeah, JP Morgan's up. So they're taking the bank stocks. Listen, you flood the system with money, it's easy money. They're lending, they're getting it cheap and lending it out to everybody at higher rates. It's pretty good business.
Fingers
right?
up 30 cents on less than 60,000 traded, according to Scott, in less than 30 minutes. That's pretty good. Dow is up 215.
Listen. The equity market, I believe, is going to bust out and crash in due time. Everybody I know, that's why the stocks are jumping like this, the big stocks, because people are just staying away. There's just no one's doing anything, on these names. You can't stand in front of a Caterpillar tractor when it goes up every day 3 points. My older brother makes fun of. My brother is a fundamental guy. Is how many Caterpillar tractors you buying? How many tractors do you need? What do you need? 10 new ones every day? So again, it's overvalued, but you can't stay in front of it. You get wiped out. You just got to stay away.
I know some fundamentalists. Who is the best official to write to or call into, in your judgment, for people that want to help?
I guess, we met with most of the politicians, unless you sit down and actually get the right person who understands it. The actual politician has no clue. The people that work for the politicians are the people that understand it. So you have to get to someone in the office, their attorney, like Pete Sessions' office. We sat down with that guy Tucker.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be a real putz. But we gave him an hour and we educated him on it. And as an attorney, he said the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And if he is listening, he's a complete buffoon, because he wanted to know that when someone's naked shorting, he believes that they're signing a contract with Goldman Sachs that allows them to do it. And Goldman Sachs should actually put that in writing. I says, are you insane? No one would have anything in writing on this, because it'll just implicate you and get you in trouble. There's
Maybe
no way.
he heard it from Joe Angel, the professor.
There's no one doing that. That's total nonsense. Like I said, accumulation, the shorts get tired of selling. Big emotion, if you've watched the CEO speak or listened to him, he tells you exactly what they're building out in the biggest market in the world, in the telecom space, on the data space. It's right there. The whole world in the U.S., the Fingermotion CEO, he likened his stock, or he compared his stock to Snowflake. That's a $70 billion company that has access to data. Fingermotion has that data in a bigger market than the U.S. and is the loan provider and has the contacts already. So when they get ready to start selling it and driving revenue, which they said they're ready, you're dealing with so much data that can create insurance policies or health policies, everything.
And I would argue that the United States is a mature insurance market China
Oh, yes.
even though it's the second largest insurance market, it still has a long way to grow. So it's still
They have no, I've spoken to someone that's very close to AIZ, and they said AIZ wants to start insuring appliances, dishwashers like we have in the U.S., your refrigerator, your appliances, and they want to insure one more thing, which I think is going to be the future for insurance. If we're going to keep pushing these electric cars, the batteries in the electric car could destroy you financially if they break. A battery, I think, was like a $30,000 or $25,000 replacement on a Tesla. They want to insure the battery on the car. So that is another form of insurance. Because of Finger Motion's connections into China, I would look for something like that to come down the road. There's many things that can be insured, and Finger Motion is the gateway into China, as we could all say.
Do you know Tony DiNardo?
Is that guy at the car wash?
I don't know who he is. He called you out today. Called me out, I guess, too. But whatever.
Where are we going? Ask him where we're going.
If Tony wants to meet me down in front of the SEC, I'll meet him.
Yeah, Tony, come on. Listen, Tony DiNardo, the big mouth, anytime you want to meet at the FBI building, bring your proof, bring your data, do whatever you want to come. We'll meet you there. Have some balls, Tony DiNardo.
When you think about it, everyone from people like Tucker or journalists or this Tony DiNardo, why the heck are they supporting trillions of dollars being looted from the United States economy and taxpayer without paying taxes, going offshore? Who's benefiting from this?
Let Tony DiNardo. I'll get a bunch of shareholders that want to understand Tony DiNardo, and Tony can show up, and we'll get a place, and we'll meet with Tony DiNardo, and I'll get 100 people that want to see. We'll have a little audience, and Tony can tell us all what his beef is with us. Go ahead, Tony, tell us. We want to know what we're doing so wrong that we're teaching people about security fraud. We're not pumping and dumping, Tony, because we're still here, Tony. We could have walked away like anybody else that you know, Tony DiNardo, but we're still here. You want to go to the FBI, Tony DiNardo? We'll be glad to step in with you anytime.
He sounds like an Italian. I'm not going to trust him. Don't get mad. I'm Italian, everybody.
Tony DiNardo's got that Italian disease, Funzolo. That's what he has.
What is it?
Funds are low.
Funds are low.
So when you get an Italian that's got funds are low, they get pissed off.
What's the Irish disease? Suds are low?
Suds are low. There you go.
If the fakes are...
Listen, Bill, anyone that contacts you like that, just tell them to meet us at the SEC, the FBI. You tell me the time, and I'll be there. And I'll bring a few of our shareholders that are quite upset about security fraud. And let him tell them, we all want to hear his beef. We want to know face-to-face what his beef is about. This
jerk that wrote on Seeking Alpha, one of his logical leaps of judgment was, well, Benchmark had a buy recommendation at 5. Now that it's over 5, they must have turned it to a sell. That was this jerk's logic. You can't listen to these people who speak with such certainty, who are so false.
Listen, if Benchmark had a buy at 5 and they said it was on the low end, I would look for a stock that reaches its target. They would increase their target. Why would they go from a buy to a sell when they have a company that they actually reported is doing quite well?
Well, right in, I won't bore you, but right in their last paragraph, we are expecting a meaningful re-rating opportunity.
That makes more sense.
Finger is expected to break even in the fourth quarter and turn profitable next year.
They don't like the word profitable. When you start to make money, they get pissed off. And guess what? We're in August already. Not many months before next year. So to cover 160 million shares, I think we can. I know I can wait it out until they're profitable.
So if all the shares or most of them are fake, how can we ascertain when to sell our finger shares if it starts moving up?
You can never pick the top. So you have to make sales as an average price. Always make small sales. I told you, never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. I've had many trades that were tremendous winning trades. You know what? But, I screwed it up somewhere. I sold it too soon. I sold too much too soon. And this is the years of doing this that I finally figured out, hey, if I own 1,000 shares, let me sell 100. Let me sell 100. Let me sell 100. And my game plan was if I could still retain 700, 650, 500 shares for free, that always got me the highest profit and the highest sales by doing that. You have a clear head. You're not in a panic every 2 seconds. Let's say you own Finger at $1.50 and it's running towards $7. You know how many people I know flipped out and sold it at $4, then bought back in at $6 because they missed out and left 2 points in the table in the middle of it? If they just made the sales, like I said, they would have got a better price. I mean, so you have to learn. You're never going to get the top. So you make sales, small sales all the time. Protect your family, protect yourself. I can always say that to you.
So one gentleman is pointing out, let me see if I can see his name, Mark, that the Seeking Alpha guy said that there wasn't profitability yet, but it was huge growth in revenue. Maybe you can pick one or two of the stocks you remember which never had any profitability, yet now they're trillion-dollar companies. I'm thinking Facebook and Amazon. For years, they didn't have profitability.
I can tell you about Facebook. I remember when Facebook went public. They destroyed it from 40-something down to 18. And the reason they knocked it down, there was so many negative stories. They said the same thing. The company cannot figure out how to make revenue. When it was going public, all they talked about was Facebook. Everyone's on it. It's the best company in the world. It's got the biggest growth. But as soon as it went public, the stock went straight down to 18. And then we figured out why. Because the insiders were allowed to sell stock at a certain date. So they drove it down. And if you were an insider in the company for 5 years and you could walk away and make a sale and become a millionaire at $18, they took advantage of those poor slobs. They took them out at 18. And then the next thing, after everybody was long now, they were short, then they got long, they bought the insider stock, and then right after that, the stock took off, and it was the greatest company. Every story was positive, and it never stopped going up. And that is a fact that was right on the nose. I remember it like it was yesterday. A matter of fact, I wrote a letter to Zuckerberg outlining and telling him exactly what they were doing.
And when you write, people listen.
I was hammering those keys like
Hemingway. Would you buy August calls? Which ones? Or would you just buy the stock in Finger now?
Listen,
and obviously,
again,
it's not financial advice.
Again, I'm an option guy. All right. So if I feel like it's showtime, I'm an option guy. So again, to me, you get better leverage in the options. And I told you before the July calls, the July 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, all went from nothing to in the money.
Right.
I screamed and told people every day, sell them, take some profit, and you could buy the 10s, the 11s, for whatever it amounts were. If they go to zero, you did not lose. If you held on, you lost. Because I can't tell when the attacks are going to come. So lowering your cost using options, you can trade options. You could trade options. You could buy them at 40 cents, sell them at 50 cents, buy them back at 40 cents. If you sold it, made a dime, 40 cents is now 30 cents. Do it one more time, you're down to 20 cents with the same position. Or you can buy a cheaper call for free.
This is...
Again, if this stock is going to go, it's not going to 8 or 9. It's going to 8 or 900 when it goes. That's my opinion. That's who we're looking at. I'm here for the Holy Grail, I'm not here to make $2. I can go play other stocks all day long, not waste my time talking to a soul, okay, and do it myself. This is a life-changing situation, and we're teaching people about it for one reason, not to get you to buy it. I don't give a shit if you buy it or not. I could care less. If you don't understand this by now, you're going to get ripped off. I don't care who you are. You're going to get robbed, because we all believe in a story sooner or later. And you can see, I believed in the finger motion story, and I've been getting nothing but robbed by these criminals. Not for a week, for a couple of years now. And Lynn is the last straw. I had enough of it. And Lynn's going down. Until they go down, I will not stop attacking them, exposing them, and doing everything in our power. These guys have a history of every stock they're in goes to zero, yet they're all wealthy. How do you make money when all the stocks you give money to, they're not giving it away. They're giving $5-10 million to companies. SYTA went from 10 to 5 cents. How did Lynn walk away from that trade profitable? How is that possible? HUBC, the same thing. For some reason, they got some sort of scam going on at BRAG. I don't know what the scam is, but they gave these guys $10 million. The stock is never traded. All of a sudden, the other day, 750,000 shares went up at 450. I don't know about you, but to me, in my mind, the dinner bell, something's ringing here, that there's something off. Lynn needed to make a sale. They got some stooge to buy it. They probably paid the stooge something to take the position. Lynn sells 800,000 shares at 450, gets the money. They give this guy $50 in commission per share. And you know what? I could see something like that happen, because that was all prearranged trading. And I watch it to see. I've been waiting for them to see what they're going to do. They got a $10 million debenture. They can't get out unless the stock trades. There was no volume. Go look. There's no volume. And all of a sudden, 750,000 trades. So if the FBI, the SEC, or DOJ is paying attention, follow that trade, because that looked like a prearranged trade between two parties.
They don't care.
I'm just letting you know that the one party we know is Lynn. I don't know who the buyer was, but whoever the buyer was, he bought himself the Brooklyn Bridge, as we said.
So this is a breaking news story, but maybe you understand the implication. The Federal Reserve Board announced a consent order and a $270 million fine with UBS Group of Switzerland for misconduct by Credit Suisse. It's interesting.
Well, they're going to hide the information on Credit Suisse for 50 years, so we got 6 months behind us, so we got to wait another 49 years and 5 months, whatever.
Credit Suisse was part of the Kennedy assassination.
Credit Suisse has to be such a dirty place, and so much. I'm told so many hedge funds were running their trades through that place. You know, they were all looking the other way.
434 on Finger. Do you care to comment?
434. What are we, the town crier? It's going to slowly sneak up, and we're all going to say the same thing. Well, it's 434. I had a chance to buy it at 4. You know what? It's 487. It's 4 and 15 teenies at 493. You know, oh, look at it, it's 503.
They're going to say, we will all say at $5, if it pulls back to 4, I'm going to get back in.
Right. So as you speak, I just hit it up now. They offer 10,000. Hurry up, slap the momentum. William is talking positive about it. Accumulation. I always told you, when you buy a stock, whatever it is, you buy half, you buy 20% of it, then you buy another 20%, you average in. Wall Street is about making pennies. All the pennies count. Except for naked short sellers. They lose dollars. They could care less.
Is this a false choice? Finger or GTII?
You have to determine by looking at the stock. For example, I'll just make this up. Let's say I buy the 430 stock in Finger because I believe it's going to pop first. It's more money. I get less shares. We all got the drift. We all understand it, right? But why would I not buy Finger versus GTII. If GTI go, let's say Finger runs to 40, I can turn around. I'll pay $2 for Finger. I mean, for GTII. Does it make a difference at that point? I made 40 points. You know what? Let's use that money, and I can go buy GTII at $2. The way to do it is if you bought some Finger and you have extra money, you buy a little bit of GTI. You add a little every day, little every day. I told you I know some friends that are liquidating Wolf, and they're buying GTII when they make the sales in Wolf. So they're letting their other winner run so they make more money on it. So let's say they sell Wolf up 10 more cents higher, 100,000 shares up a dime higher. That means if they paid 95 for GTII, take away the dime that they just let it Wolf go a little bit higher, they own it at 85 cents. That's how you have to look at trading. That's everyone I know. Trading is about pennies. You have to understand pennies before you can understand dollars.
Something is fishy today. Why is Finger on the rise? I don't know.
Well, because it went down so fast and so unfairly, it was attacked through the options. The shorts are not going to listen. If the shorts were so powerful, they let the stock go higher. Everybody, write it down on your wall, scribble it on the toilet seat, anywhere you want it, wherever you go every day. Shorts need to hold the stock down. They can't let it go higher. Why can't they let it go higher? Because of margin. If they thought they can win and they had the money to back all these trades, they would let them go higher. It's pretty easy. It's the same thing every day.
One gentleman's asking, are they letting Finger run up today so they can sell us down?
It's up 15 cents.
Yeah.
It's down 3. It's up 15 cents.
Yeah.
If they want to sell it down, go ahead. They're not selling it down because they know, number one, they sold too many shares. They're exposed here. And it's just, where are they going to go? If it goes higher, they put themselves, their back is against the wall because they're getting margin calls. The attack was so fast for one reason, because someone was breaking their balls for money. That's all you need to know.
This kind person is saying everything is going up because AMC is squeezing. Somebody else is pointing out it's 200 million shares in AMC. Personally, I don't think AMC is squeezing, but maybe I'm missing something.
Listen, God bless them all. I hope they get back and get their money, do what they have to do. Again, I went to the movies last night. I made my donation at AMC. I went to see Mission Impossible. If you have the time, go see it. It was very good, very entertaining. And go make your donation to AMC for their cause. Because if that person's right, AMC's squeezing, you know what? I don't own the stock, but you know what? I spent the money to go to the movie theater to support the company. So I did my part.
If Credit Suisse files are being closed for 50 years, can they hide the shorts for 50 years?
No. Everybody's looking at them and what they have. UBS now, the government of Switzerland, the USEC. There's a lot of bad stuff that they have to clean up, and I'm sure they're going to clean it up.
Is Citadel exposed to Finger and GTII?
No, I don't think so.
How will they stop this short selling in Finger and GTII?
They're going to let the stocks go higher. That's how they're going to stop it.
Do you want to comment on the billion share naked short in Kodak?
It's actually a little bit bigger, but I'm taking into, since I don't cover it all the time, I think it was 1.5 billion, so I took away 500 million shares, which I don't believe they cover anything, but I'll say it's $1 billion, and the squeeze trigger on that was $11. So you talk about money stolen. Yikes.
I wonder if they paid taxes.
Well, they have to cover their trades. Again, if I wasn't in Finger Motion, if I wasn't in GTII, I would be hanging a Kodak flag and stand in front of the SEC every day until they broke, until they folded. But I don't have the time or the energy to track another stock. I don't want people yelling at me. You're talking about a different stock, so I just talk about it in passing. I have no vested interest in it. I want to see it break because I do believe it helps us all. That's about it.
Counselor Diamond Hands points out, and he does videos. He's very good. Volume doesn't necessarily, in these cases, mean in rise in price. Finger rose on just 1 million shares, and he's right.
Volume in these names, it means nothing. You can see them. If they weren't naked shorting, this stock can go up $3 on 100,000 shares. If they weren't, once they take their foot off the landmine, it explodes. That's what Patrick Byrne said. Ned Stark put up a beautiful picture of someone taking their foot off the landmine. That's what happens. Stop the sell button and see what happens. The stocks will just melt up until they start panicking, and then it goes. But we can't stop them from selling. Like a few minutes ago, we saw 10,000 off in a finger at 4:30. I don't know if it traded or it was a spoof, but I don't know if the volume traded. But someone takes it to 4:30, and the next tick is trading at 4:20. So let's look at it this way: if I bought 10,000 at 4:30, and the next tick is 4:20, I lost a dime on 10,000 shares before I even paid for the trade. That's the sick part of the shorts. They want you to think about it. Say, oh my God, I'm down 9 cents, 10 cents already. That's the mentality of a short seller. They try to get the longs to think in their mind they're losing money all the time.
Can Finger and GTII run by year end? I'm not here for the 100-year war. I'm here to light this fire, light this candle, as we said, and move on. Finger was going. The shorts knew it. They attacked the SEC. We had the truck in front of the SEC. We had a fake Seeking Alpha report. We watched them put up 4,000 in puts trying to knock it down. They threw the kitchen sink at us, right? Did they hit you?
Nope, they didn't hit me.
At the top, can institutions sell Finger and GTII short?
You don't care what happens at the top.
Exactly.
If you're still here, turn off the lights because you'll be the only person left.
It's good to see you still have your...
Retail investors. When you buy a stock at a good price, okay, when it's running, stop being, listen, when your stock is running, go into your bathroom, put your finger on the tip of your nose and push it back, and then look in the mirror. You look like a pig. Don't be a pig. Keep taking profit. Keep playing. Reduce your costs. That's the name of the game. When you get your money off the table, you can let it run. But if you're sitting here being a pig like AMC, GameStop went to $550. Anybody that bought that stock at $20, $40, $50, $100, $200, $300, if you didn't sell it went to $500 or sell half of it to reduce your costs, then shame on you. AMC went to $77. Shame on you if you didn't get your money off the table. All right, now most people didn't understand it, but you happen to get because of us idiots watching this all day for you, we're teaching you. You have to take your money off the table. That's just the way it goes.
I agree. It's hard to do, hardest things to sell, but if you just plan on selling a bit every day or every week.
I'm not trading options, but if I was trading options when the stock was $1.50 and it went to $7, I would have made myself $200,000 easy. I would have had 5,000 calls expire worthless on me, and I would have lost no money. I would have made $200,000, and the 5,000 calls would have been free options for me. That's how you play the game. I would have made money. The 2s went to 5. The 3s went to 4. Just keep going up. You're buying them at 20 cents. They weren't $3. They didn't start at $3 when we were talking about this thing. They were nothing.
That's right.
Nothing went to something. They were up huge. And I know people didn't do it. I scolded a couple of my friends. Pat, Anna, I screamed at people.
Me.
You, I yelled at everybody. Sell your into monies and take profit and buy out of the monies and close your eyes. If they go away, no big deal. You can buy, if you bought options at 20 on the twos, it went to 5. If you lost 50 cents, you're still up 4 and a quarter. If you buy August calls for $1, you're still up $2-3 on your position. You made $3 at $2.75, and you still got options for both months. And you lost in one, and you have another one. If you did it to the 3s or the 4s, that's how you have to manage your position. You have to manage it. You can trade options. You don't be like the Statue of Liberty standing there.
The worst thing is to lose your grub stake. That's the worst thing, to go to zero. It's the worst thing.
You got to be smart about it. I can't trade them for you. But if I bought options at 50 cents and there's 65-cent bid, I would sell some, make $15, and I buy the next strike for $25, and I would have it risk $10. And if the next strike went to 25, went to 35, I can sell some of those, half of them again, and have my cost at 0, and I have options for free.
Yep.
This isn't a what do you call it, a pyramid scheme. If someone's bidding for options, I don't know everyone who buys options. Take advantage of the movement in them. You have to. Options always move. The stock could be unchanged, and the options could be changing. They could have 15 different movements in an option. When a buyer shows up, the premium expands. When there's no buyer there, the premium comes in. That's when you take advantage of and buy them. When they expand it, you can trade them. You don't have to sell all of them. You can sell 2. You can sell 3. You can sell half of them, 5 of them. Make 20 cents. Lower your cost. If you paid 45, you made 20. You're at 25 cents is your cost on 10 options, whatever it may be. But you have to understand it.
So, a couple of questions. I know your answer. Does the daily double bottom in GTII concern you if it doesn't hold? Will it dip again to 80 cents?
Listen. The double bottoms, triple bottoms, that's all garbage. You can't chart fraud. If you can chart fraud and show me 5 years of history, I will get you to the biggest hedge funds on the street and tell you you're the best trader, the best chartist in the world, because no one can chart fraud.
Will you tell us about other stocks after these run?
Only if you bend my arm. Listen, I want nothing more to have people who've been robbed make money. Okay, I grew up, when I was very young, I was fortunate. I was making a ton of money when I was 18. I was making $5,000 a week 30 years ago. All my friends were broke in college. I spent it all. And every Sunday I borrowed $200 from my father so I could start the week again. And I was making that every week for a long time. So spending the money is the most important thing to help friends that don't have the money. So that's what I believe in. So helping people that have families, children, they got divorced, they need college money. I would love nothing more to give the money to those people. I wish I could donate it to you, but I'm not that wealthy. And take away from these criminals like Sabby. He's got a $10 million condo on Fisher Island. I had a friend that lived on Fisher Island many years ago. Super exclusive. How did this guy, that fat bastard, steal that money and buy a $10 million condo? Not only that, he had the balls to put it in the newspaper and brag about it.
Crime does pay.
Crime does pay. He didn't go to jail, and I'm going to do everything in my power to have the DOJ look at that, because the SEC reported it as a scheme, a naked short-selling scheme. They didn't say a naked short-selling party. They said scheme. That means scheme to defraud. That is a criminal offense. Spoofing and washing is a non-event to me compared to what that guy did.
Yeah.
Lynn Partners, the Kramers, they're all scheming. They're standing here right in front of you scheming. It's the same pattern. Scheming to steal your money. That's all they're doing. It's the same thing.
How do you see finger trading this week?
Up. I believe it's going to drift up. And we're all going to sit there and say, I could have bought more at 398. I could have did this. Where are they going? The company's getting stronger every day. It doesn't need any money to grow. All right? It says that they expect to be break even and profitable. So what are you going to do? You want to sell it down? Knock yourself out.
The shorts may have been in trouble with margin calls, but what number turns margin calls into buy-ins? Is it $11 for finger, or is it?
I don't listen. You can't guess at the numbers. Again, GTII, Alpine committed security fraud by hiding the numbers from the DTC. We talked about GTI margin calls from 60 cents. We reported it every day. At 65, at 75, we put up the numbers every day. We discussed it. And I think we have 50, 60 people, 100 people on the call, and we discussed it every day. And then one day it runs to 9. If we were discussing margin concerns at $1, how the hell did it run to 9 and they didn't cover? They sold more.
Right.
And Alpine got busted short. So that's what happens. Eventually, the lights go off. Like I said it many times. There's got to be a light going off, like a hockey light when they score a goal. At the DTC, something's going on because this number is massive, and if they bust, who's taking the hit for it? Well, Kramers are gone. Alpine's sitting here. They're trapped. That money's going to be passed down the line to the DTC, who was nice enough to tell us about the fraud. Again, I keep trying to tell people how many stocks that companies have been fined for naked shorting. Show me the names of the companies that they list. Goldman Sachs sold 60 million shares of stock, mismarked. Did they give you one symbol of a stock? Never. GTI is the only company that I've ever seen where they gave us this symbol. And it wasn't Jeffries or Alpine or Goldman. It was the depository trust in a court document telling us. So if you need proof, there's your proof. Forget the company, forget anything else. Your proof is right there. It's all over Twitter. If you like, we can repost it 500 more times. But that's the proof that there's a problem here. And it will always be the proof. Until they tell us the exact number, their concentrated short position, it will always be the proof.
So what happened to the $5.29 number that was going to switch the computers from selling to buying?
Well, the stock did go from 529, it went to 720, right?
Something, yeah.
So the attack came in, and they drove it back down, so they turned the computers off, is what my guess could be, right? Why were they so aggressive to knock it down? They needed to change the narrative on the stock. They needed to go to a sell, so everyone sits there and says, oh my God, it's breaking down. And I'm sure there's been some people who panicked, who were defrauded, but we can't stop that. Just like the gentleman that was yelling about me and you, William, maybe he lost his money, the guy with the Italian, the funds are low. He's got a beef because he got ripped off, but call a cop. That's what we do every day.
Yeah, they're saying here that he traded AMC. I'd never recommended it, but...
he traded AMC. Tell him good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I hope everybody makes money.
Stick it up his own ass and get lost. What are you, crazy? Get out of here.
Will Gary Gensler ever do his job, or do you think getting fired first is even...
Listen, this is a political hand grenade. This has been going on since the SEC, since 2008, when Chris Cox, the Chairman Cox, put out that video, and his new anti-fraud rule against naked short manipulative, naked short selling fraud. He said it 7 times. It's extremely dangerous for small cap companies, naked short selling. Go watch the video. I put it up 50 times.
How come Gensler is all against fraud, but how come he can turn a blind eye to this fraud without?
You don't know, the money's all gone. That's what I told John Stewart. The money is gone. You can't sell stock at $3 and buy it back at 10. Because no one has that money. That's the fraud. That is why GTII and Finger Motion are my number one stocks, is because of security fraud. I would say Kodak, but I don't know. I didn't study Kodak every day like I haven't studied these names. For all I know, the company's been raising money and they're covering them. I have no idea. So until I get my feet on the ground and I can figure it out, I see the number. I already cut off 500 million shares of that number off, saying that they did cover and something, but the only way they cover is when the stocks go up. They're not going up, so how could they be covering?
Yeah. Do you have any viewpoint on HKD? It's been stuck at 666 for a couple of weeks.
It's been at the same spot. I put it 660 was always the spot, right? It goes up, goes down, goes back to 660. It's like the lottery. If you want to be in it, you got to own it, right? In order to win it, you got to be in it. Again, I don't know nothing about the company, but it's obviously there's a huge short in these names. And when the group wakes up, they'll trample them. Whenever they need to make some money, they start trampling them and squeeze the shorts.
Right. Well, I've run out of questions.
It's a nice, humid day. Get out there, go play some pickleball.
Is CLNV finished? CLNV, Clear Vision. Clear something.
I don't know the company. I'm sorry. I've heard the symbol. I just don't know what happened.
Do you think Finger GTII can go and second any days this year?
Listen, I studied GTII for 3 years straight. I posted Geneva. I'll do it again. Sedona was a company from 2000 that was defrauded by a lender called Amro. Amro had signed a loan agreement with them, promised they wouldn't short the stock. But what did Amro do? They hired Rhino advisors to naked short the shit out of the stock. They got caught by the SEC. It's all proven. I put up the video, Judd Bagley's video. I put it up there. So you know the name of the company, you know the name of the lender, and you know the name of the short. Now change the name. GTII is Geneva Roth. That was the LLC the Kramers lent the company money. The company paid off Geneva Roth. I put up the link. Geneva Roth was repaid their loan, and now they have no access to stock. The stock starts to go up, and who do we get? Charlie Big Nose Mayo, okay, the guy with the white fetish, okay, the guy in the bathtub with the piece of shit in his mouth, the cigar. He calls the company up and leaves a voicemail. He's trying to buy stock from the company. So after being given the company money, the stock goes up. All of a sudden, he's in a panic trying to buy stock from the company. He leaves a voicemail with his cell phone number, and we were having nice enough that a bunch of shareholders called up, and Charlie Mayo and even Kramer answered his cell phone. So we all know that phone was Charlie Mayo's phone. The phone records, the billing, it can't go away. It's right there. You can listen to it. We posted it on Twitter. It's the same pattern. Finger Motion. Same thing. Lynn Partners is the lender. We don't know the name of the LLC that they're shorting in. I do believe they have an office somewhere else where they have a bunch of professionals doing it for them. Those four morons that we see on Twitter, those guys couldn't run a trading operation. It's four guys like that guy Pete from Philly, or Pedro from Philly. He's the type of guy that would be an over-the-counter market maker.
Yeah, he's good. He's.
You would have that in order to be a market maker that's stealing investors' money and naked shorting like this. You have to be some black heart. You got to be sitting there, couldn't care less. At the end of the day, you're stealing $2,000 for yourself, and that's all they care. Like the guy Rob Schaefer from VERT, who has a direct pipeline to the Kramers and to all the other savvy. I'm sure they all did business with guys like Vert. Because they would give him the order and say, hey, Rob, sell 10 million shares for me. Any bids that come in, hit it and just do it. And that's what he would do. And they would pay him as the executioner. Sabby would go to the Knick game, or the Kramers would go bowling, whatever the hell they do. And that's how they do it. All right, that's how the game is played. So all these market makers are dirty with them. And you really have to have a black heart to sit there and watch retail orders come in. Hey, we just got another guy bought 12,000 shares. I shorted it for you. They're never going to get their money out. They just keep going on. They could kill us. This isn't trading. It's complete fraud.
That's good. That could be a music video.
So when I spoke with John Stewart, I said to him, and he came back with a great question. He goes, if I need to get more information, who do I go to? I says, you're at ground zero right here. He says, you're it? I says, this is it. I know all the stories. I know everything from 2000 to today. And I've educated thousands of people, so in case they murder me, guys, remember, if they do kill me, Lynn Partners and the Kramers are your source. Remember, add a murder charge to this, besides naked short selling and criminal.
Let's
lock
not.
them all up for murder.
Let's
Right,
not.
if that happens.
Let's not bring that upon.
Well, we have to know what to do in case.
There really aren't any more questions. I can't think of
Slow
any.
and steady wins the race. Spikes, as you can tell, I've always said it, spikes don't work. We don't know what the tipping point is on that. If we're climbing a mountain, we don't know where we're going to push them off at. We don't know that number. The number, you can tell we're getting close when you see the attacks. You can sit there and say, okay, they were super aggressive at 7, and they were so concerned that they attacked it down to 6, down to 5, breaking 4. Okay? Think about it. They short 160 million shares of 30 cents. All the money they swiped in stealing with that option money is nothing to fill that hole on the margin on 160 million shares. Each dollar is $160 million they lose on the way up.
So the volume today is about 400 grand. That doesn't seem very much, which I am trying to figure out if that's a positive or not. But they're not able to drive it down.
Well, they don't want to drive it down because they don't want less money. Do you understand? They have to. When you sell it lower, you have to sell more shares. And that's why I said, if I'm going to be a naked short, why would I go sell finger motion when I can go sell 1,000 shares of Apple every day? Go naked short that. No one's going to find you.
Right.
1,000 shares of Apple every day. These guys have to sell, 300,000 shares. To sell a couple of thousand Apple, you make more money doing that. It trades how many shares a day, Apple? 30 million shares? 3,000 shares stuck in the system as a fake short sale, a fake long sale? Who's going to find you? Look what happened in Dole Foods. They let some guy walk away selling 13 million counterfeit shares. No one even looked for him.
This gentleman is asking on a bigger issue, who's currently buying all of the U.S. debt and holding our 10-year note down? It approached a 40-week high and they've hammered it down. My answer is the Fed, but anyway.
That's what I said. I think it's the Fed, too. The Fed has a huge trading operation, so they manipulate. I believe they're manipulating the stocks up. I think they're buying like the Caterpillars, the UNH, the Goldman Sachs. They're manipulating these stocks up straight up. Just think about it. Goldman Sachs was crashing 2 weeks ago on the bank stories. It goes up with no fear. It's up $7. No one's even selling 100 shares at $3.59 and 23 cents. It's like no big deal. What's the rush? No one sells a share. That is complete manipulation. The longs in the stock know the Fed's out here buying, and that's why they don't sell it.
I guess AMC's running. One guy's asking a good question, I think. Are there people on Wall Street or insiders who are sort of on our side and understanding the fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys can't play these names. They have guidelines to their, whatever they're allowed to trade. So they buy it personally. I can tell you that. I know that for a fact. But a lot of times the funds can't buy it until it starts to go. So you got to look for the crazy hedge funds. The guys running 20, 100, 200, $500 million that can swing anywhere they want.
Well, and they tend to wait until the breakout actually happens.
They'd rather buy it at 10 because they know it's going to 20. They don't care.
Yeah.
When you get in early in these names, we have to sit and suffer. That's the problem.
I always say that's our arbitrage is time. These guys have a bunch of money, so they can buy higher.
Yeah, they just go around the board. Hey, this one, XYZ, AMC's running. Buy me 300,000. It's still going. Buy another 300,000. Buy 5,000 calls. That's how they play. That's exactly what it would sound like.
Yep.
And then they tell their friends, I just bought 500,000 AMC. I'm buying 500 calls. What are you hearing? I hear someone's getting bought in. Bah, 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 bah.
How did the shorts get paid if they don't buy back their positions?
How do they get paid?
I assume it's when they do reverse splits, but how do they get the money out of the accounts?
They can't get the. Well, you got to remember, they can always sit here and buy. When a stock goes down to pennies, they can always buy some and lock in some profit. But for the most part, they get taxed so heavily on that, they let it go to zero. They try to drive it to zero.
Yeah.
And if the company reverses it, their position gets reduced. That's all they want. That's all they care about. They're cashed out. They don't have to do anything.
That's right.
You short 100 million, they reverse it 25 to 1. 25 million, your 100's gone. Whoop, see you later. Cashed out.
Yeah.
Root was a $8 billion IPO. The whole company's not worth $300 million now.
Well, that's the cleansing part of the short system. It cleansed the market.
The company, this is how Wall Street explains it. The company diluted itself too much, so they have to reverse it. And you're looking at it saying, wait a second, you drove it down. You forced us to raise money instead of at $10, we're raising it at 30 cents. What the hell do you think we're going to give people? It converts into shares. And it just keeps diluting it until you reverse it and you're dead. That's what they do.
Somebody's saying, do we have to worry about reverse splits in Finger and GTII? I don't think so.
Are you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Why would the company reverse? It's fully funded. It's on the NASDAQ. It meets every requirement possible. There's no reason to reverse these names.
Exactly. And that's, I really don't have any more, so we can talk about something else. 428, 424, 431.
Listen, there's not much more to say. Again, accumulation, I look at these names as accumulation. If you're buying 1,000 shares, when I used to get an order for 1 million shares of stock, the first thing I did was buy 10%. So I would buy 100,000 immediately. Because if I didn't buy it and the stock takes off, I can at least show the client that I bought 100,000 shares.
Right.
Say, hey, we went to buy it at $40. I bought 100. Then the thing ran to 50. He goes, what did you get? I got 100. Okay, great. If you sat there and I was bidding for it and I didn't get anything, I would be fired and never get another order again.
Right.
So you always run in, take 10, 12, 15%, grab it, and you get an initial position. So this way, if the stock goes, you're involved. If it pulls back, I just keep adding to it as it goes down. That's it. You may miss it. You may get it all. I have no idea, depending on the stock. But that's the best way you feel. Listen, everyone will feel a lot better when you go to buy 1,000 shares of stock and say, okay, I bought 200. I'm working. I'm going to bid for 200 now. And if it pulls back tomorrow, I could buy another 600. Once you make your bet, we're all sitting here. It's like we all bet the New York Giants to win. We have to sit there and freeze because we bet all our money watching, are the Giants going to win? We have to sit there and freeze
the
on
New
it.
York football Giants.
A lot of people bet now because you can bet all day. You can change the bet. It's in-game betting, so as the score changes, so does the line. So I had friends that were pretty big bettors. Instead of betting $10,000 on the Giants, they would bet 3,000 on the Giants, and throughout the game, they make a lot more wagers back and forth as the game's moving. So you get that opportunity with a stock, you can get that feeling and say, hey, finger motion's starting to run. It just broke 460. You know what? I'll buy 200. It broke 5. I'll buy 200. You average in as it goes up.
That's a good
Right? So
point.
you have to be able to, you have to adjust yourself on the fly, is what we said.
Do you want to talk about how you arranged the meeting with Jon Stewart, or does that anybody's business?
Someone arranged it for me.
Okay.
And I sprinted, and it was a short term, get here quickly, and I did. While everybody was sitting around picking their ass on Saturday, I was running around to go make a meeting to try to help everybody else out. So for any jerk off who thinks that we're sitting around picking our ass, we're running around 24/7 trying to make this shit happen. Whether it's putting the truck in front of the SEC, going to D.C., we did it all. It takes me 4 hours to drive from New York to D.C., go walk around with William and other great people to help out Lou and Todd and Anna and all the other great people from the MMTL people that we all helped out. We're doing everything possible. If you got a problem and you're losing money, don't yell at us. Call the goddamn SEC. What are you calling us for? What do we know? We can't stop the fraud. We tell you who the short is, how big the short is, and what could potentially happen. That's who we're good at. We can tell you and teach you how to trade options. That's who we're good at. Stopping fraud, and we don't have a badge.
Can they be hiding the buy orders
Can they be hiding the buy orders?
in
They
finger?
do hide the. I have friends putting bids in for 20,000 many days, and they don't show the bids. They always show 100 shares, 200 shares. Yes, they do. They don't like to show big orders because then people who try to run in front of it. You understand?
Yeah.
Maybe the algorithm, maybe a big buy order of more than 500 shares triggers the algorithm to move up to a buy. I don't know. Because if I saw someone bidding 430 for 25,000 shares, what the hell? I might as well buy a couple of thousand at 434, right? The worst I could do is sell it back to you at 430. Right?
Everybody's saying how much they appreciate you and they're glad a new little ham is in the world. And
He's pissed off already because that guy, he's got the same stupid frown I got on my face, those motherfuckers. He's saying it already.
does he have more hair?
Yes, he does. But listen, I keep trying to tell people, I've done this 23 years. My life has not been, I haven't been cheery for 23 years. I've had many, if you think you've had bad days, get in the back of the line because I had 1,000 bad days, okay? Where I watched them attack, stealing my money, and I couldn't do anything about it. What everyone here now has is an opportunity to change your life in a new time and a new place where the SEC, GameStop happened, AMC happened, Robinhood, you see, committed fraud. You can see everything that I've been watching for 23 years. You got to see firsthand now, which most people have not. All right, so you got to witness face the horror that I've seen for 23 years. I know a guy who blew his brains out in Central Park. Okay, friends died of cancer. My mom died of cancer. No treatments, none of this. And it all leads back to naked short
You know,
selling.
it's funny. Regardless of all of it, the thing that Gensler talks about is how deep and trustworthy and transparent our markets are. Just be transparent. Tell us you're doing it. Show us how we're doing it. Then we'll invest accordingly.
Oh, listen, if he would have come out and said, hey, people, anyone who's not buying IBM or Apple, you don't stand a chance. You're better off going to a casino and play the wheel where they spin with the dollars on it. You're better off doing that or play roulette. If he had the balls to say that, I would understand it. But you have companies standing here that have to do filings. If a company sold one share that wasn't registered, they go to jail.
Absolutely.
These guys are selling. They get caught every day. A naked short is the sale of an unregistered security.
Yep.
They created it. The company didn't get any money from it. The company didn't approve of it. The SEC didn't approve of it. Yet Savvy, Lynn Partners, the Kramers, Yorkville, these guys are selling shares that they don't have. It's the sale of an unregistered security. They belong in jail. Very easy.
Somebody wants your price perdition on Finger by the end of the week. Prediction, obviously. He made a mistake.
I can tell you this. It doesn't mean that much to me because I know in the end we're going to get them.
Yeah.
So, again, I would like to see it. I would like to see it drift like today, 450, tomorrow, 484. Thursday, 415 teenies. I always love to say 415 teenies because I know most of you people don't even know what the hell that is. No, people don't know what a teeny is. 3 teenies, a quarter. You know, these are the old quotes on the when we say.
I thought it was a drink.
Apple teeny, give me a teeny. No, but again, I think that a nice gradual walk up to 5.25, 540 in the next few days will be deadly. Deadly. That tees it up for next week for the run to the stars. That's how I see it. They could push it down. I know people sitting there just waiting. Push it down. They don't care. But a slow walk up and then a sprint, a jog, a walk, a jog, and then a sprint. That's the best way. And they shot their, they used every bullet they can to get past the last option pricing, right? They did everything they can to knock it down.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look at the put side and look at the $4 puts. There's no market in this puts. They traded 3,700 of them, and they're 65 to 75, down 18 cents. The stock is up 30 cents. The puts are down 18. These puts would deteriorate because no market maker wants to buy them. The only player in these options are the shorts. 3,700 of the 4s, the 2,800 of the 5s, and the 1,300 of the 6s. Just watch the volume on the put side on the August puts. They can't get out. They crossed them, and now they can't get out. You could think someone bought 100 of them and wants to trade them. There's no one on that side. It's just them.
Somebody's asking, I don't know anything about Edward David Thomas X-ray. There's a T12 hold on EDTX. Can that happen to Finger? And
the hold on EDTX was about a filing. They needed to give some more information on something.
Okay, so that's not relevant here. There's some bashers on one of
on EDTX. Just so everybody knows, the stock ran to what, $70 from nothing. I think it was $70 or $80, $79.
Yeah.
What did I say? Shame on you if you own stocks at 10 and they run to 70.
Yeah, get some money off the table.
If you would have sold 70% or 60% of your position, you wouldn't care how long they hold it. If they open it up back at 10 or 20, who cares, right?
Someone's saying bashers on some of the sites are telling people that naked shorts don't have to have any margin.
Yeah, it's all free. Yeah, it's all free. No, it's all free. The whole game is about money and margin. You know, the people that are bashing that shorts don't have any margin are just bashers. They don't have any money.
They're part of the same problem. You said the same sort of thing about the $5.27 number. Do we have to lower our expectations? In other words, I guess you said that at 5.29 or whatever, it should be a trigger for a rally. I don't know.
Yeah, that's Tom Ronk's number.
Yeah.
He said that was the trigger, and it went through 5.29, and it went to 7.20. Okay, that isn't the squeeze that I'm looking for, but it was a squeeze. It went from 5.29 to 7.20, whatever it was, right? Does it break? Does it go again when it goes through that number? I assume so. Again, those are not my numbers. It's hard to chart fraud. I only do one thing. I keep counting the number of shorts, and it keeps going up. The person that's short 1 million shares of Finger Motion, if they were to cover it today, the stock would be $12. Because there is no sell. There is no selling in the stock. It's only them. If they take their foot off, the stock will trade like this. Normal, you buy 500, the 433 offer disappears. Next thing, it's 440. If they're not selling any size, they can't even average up.
How long will the squeeze be? How long will people have to get out once Finger starts to squeeze?
Well, it depends on the squeeze. It depends on the trading pattern. I can tell you as it trades. I can't tell you now.
Do
I
you?
told you if it runs to 10 quick, every scumbag short seller on the street across the globe is going to say, "Hey, what's this piece of shit at 10? Go sell 50,000 shares short." If those guys come in, like a Timothy Sykes and those guys, all these small guys come in, they will get run over by a buy-in. They'll be panicking, trying to cover it at 15 to 20. And you get a new group of shorts that'll come in and say, what's this piece of shit that was 10 that's now 20? And they start shorting it because they want to get the top. If they fold because the prime broker is buying in the short, next thing you're at 30, 40, it just keeps rotating like that. That type of trading pattern where new shorts come in makes it go higher and last longer.
Can you discuss August calls again? Maybe which strike price you'd recommend? Not financial advice. Our August calls, what you would buy?
Yes, it's not even August yet. Okay, I know, but listen, I'm a believer that this thing is not going up $1. So, what's the big deal buying the 8s at 35 cents? So you can buy them at 30 cents. You can bid in the middle. You know, if you wanted to buy 10 August 8s, you buy 5 at 35 cents. You bid 30 cents for 5. At least you're in, and you're bidding for 5. If you get them, you own it at 30 cents. You own it at 32 cents.
I tell you, the premiums, you were right about how they fall. The 8, even with the stocks up, the ask is 30 cents. The 7s are 40 cents. The 6 is 50.
What did you pay for the 8s before?
I think I paid 45. No, on Thursday I think I paid
80 cents.
No. I think I paid something like 50 cents, 55 or 45.
So I told you before, if the stock is going to go, the front month is the place to be. If it's not going to go, the next month's options will become half of what they were. And you can buy them at a bigger discount. You add both of them up together, won't equal what you would be paying for August calls anyway. So if you bought the July 8s at 30 cents and this month's 8s at 35 cents, it's 65 cents. I think the 8s were trading at 80 cents or 85 cents.
Yeah, maybe.
So again, if you added them both together, you'll still be you'll still be cheaper by 15 or 20 cents.
Yeah, exactly. If
the stock would have continued, then it would have been a bigger problem because those options, you would have missed the opportunity because the stock was running.
The volume is still under 500,000. Somebody's asking.
Just remember, everybody, naked shorts don't pay any commission. They have no problem. All the money gets wired to their accounts. As soon as they sell the stock, they go to the corner and to their cash machine and just take out all the money. That's how it works for the shorts. For those dummies posting
that. Somebody's asking about BBIG.
Listen, it was a hot name a while ago. I don't know what's going on with it. I read some stories. People are fighting with management. I don't know. Did they reverse the stock?
I have no idea.
Could that guy answer that? Did they reverse it?
He'll answer it, but not right away. It takes some time to type up.
I think they reversed it. I'm not sure. Because I thought I saw it way lower than this.
Somebody yet again is asking about Kodak. Yeah, they did 10 to 1. 10 to 1. or 1 to 10.
So again, that's what they do. They keep destroying the company. And what happens when you reverse it? The short sellers now they lost a percentage of their short goes away. And now the new percentage of the short that they add to it is now a $4 stock. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, if you use 1 for 10, whatever their maintenance requirement was goes down by 90%.
Right.
They
So
take all that money out.
The stock is up today because of the reverse. They'll just reshort it again at a higher number, and they start again.
Yeah.
We call it the rinse, repeat. Repeat, rinse, whatever you want to call it.
422, so they're getting it to sell off by the end of the day. Good for them.
Yeah, hurry up. Listen, if you're trading stocks, I told you Wall Street's about pennies. So if I paid $4.20 for the stock is $4.21 to $4.34. If I had 1,000 shares to sell, I would offer it at 34. At least I could make myself 14 cents, $140, right?
Yeah.
But the continued marking it lower is just to try to get the person that's offering a 434 to turn around and say, they're hitting the bids. There's no bids. Hit the bid. Let me get out. It's just a head game. That's just what it is.
Well, they must have a client that wants to have losses.
Less. Like I said, just look at Goldman Sachs. It's up $8 all day, and no one sells it. If I was long 1 million shares of that stock, I'd be hitting the bids and say thank you for the 8 points today. But they know the federal government has a buy on it, and they're just taking it higher.
Yeah.
But nobody's selling it.
Yet.
Oh no! When they pull the carpet out and the curtain unwinds and they see that the whole equity markets is a total bust, then watch how fast they sell. So it's all nice when they're going up, but when they start to fall, that elevator falls fast.
That's right. 421.
What's that?
421. 443,000 shares.
Yeah, like I said, they just tried 100 shares, mark it down. The offer never goes lower. It's just the bids drop. Isn't that strange?
That's a good point. 421 to 434.
The offers never go lower. It's just the bids disappear.
I guess that's that liquidity they're providing.
Yeah, that's the liquidity they provide. They're selling it short at 434, and when they sell it, they all say together, don't bid for anything. We can't bid. Don't do it. You'll change the game if you actually buy 1 share of stock.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality of the short seller. The short seller has to make the stock look as weak as possible so everybody on this call panics. That's what they try to do. That's their job.
But they never cover.
Many years ago, we used to have an uptick rule. I remember having a million shares of a stock for sale short, and the symbol was Eddie, Peter, Tom, and I had a million shares to sell short at the market.
What was your cents per share?
I was getting 6 cents a share, so no one wanted that order to get done more than me, right?
Right.
But we needed an uptick to get our short off. That means the stock had to trade up to short it, right?
Yep.
There wasn't an uptick for a week, so I wasn't allowed to short it. It was $9.99 bid for 1 share by a million. I never got the order off. How's that?
That's a nice trade.
Because of the uptick rule, it stopped the shorts from the cannibal rates that you see today.
Who got rid of that? Was it the SEC or was it Goldman Sachs?
It was the high-frequency traders. They were saying that they couldn't detect in their computer programs an uptick, so they removed it. Then they said that the stocks have institutional support, so we don't really care about the bear rates. When IBM finds a level, because of their earnings and their revenue, funds will step in and support it, which is true. But all the other stocks...
But when you have stocks under 300 million market cap, there are no
with
funds.
no institutional support. With stocks with no institutional support, they can't withstand the attacks.
Yeah.
And that's what changed the game.
How can you provide liquidity if there's an uptick rule?
That's they were dying in that one because they couldn't do it. So these high frequency traders they said they lobbied and got it taken away.
It's unbelievable. It's depressing.
So all the rules are slanted against us. So for everybody on this phone call, the people that help us, the lawyers, Mark Brazil, Wes Christian, and all the other people that are behind us helping us, it's just not the William and Ham show here, ham, bacon and eggs, whatever the ham and eggs, whatever it is. We need the water boy, busy brands. We need everybody here. But again, there's many people that are helping, trying to expose this problem. Frankie Nez sign up for his reports. He's doing a great job. He's our New York Times reporter as far as I'm concerned. He tells it the way it is. Pete from Philadelphia he's been a breath of fresh air. Listen, follow him. He understands the equity markets. Everybody has a different look. I look at it one way. He looks at it a different way. So we all seen the crimes. We all understand the crimes. So education is the most important thing that you can get with these type of games. We
can put out a thanks to Kristen Shaughnessy, and maybe she'll make a clip of that because we used her name.
I always forget it. She is fantastic. I love her. Her tweets are she's hard hitting. She's a good reporter. She's
great.
She knows how to throw a punch. I'll tell you that. She doesn't fool around.
Yep.
But again, she understands what it is to fight the system. She's had her own fight with her team, and she's been fighting back. And it's everything's an uphill battle. But if you don't fight back, you can never win.
Will Finger put out a special dividend?
I begged them 1,000 times, but there's lawyers in the middle of it, so I'm not the company. If it was me, you would see craziest shit ever.
Someone's saying, wouldn't it have been easy for a whale to drive the stock price up on Friday? I'm not sure people understand. The whales aren't here to make us money. They're here.
That's what I keep trying to tell people. Listen, if I'm running and I'm trying to buy 10 million shares of this stock, each dollar is $10 million in their pocket. They're here to make money for themselves.
Right.
We know they're buying it. We can see it. Okay. If the shorts want to beat it down, they step away. They beat it down. They buy shares as they're coming to them. You buy the stock as it comes to you. That's a professional buyer. We all want the same thing. So people, get it off your mind. We all want the same thing. You want to buy a stock at 932 and sell it up 30 points at 945. We all got that. We all want to do the same thing. And then you want to do it again tomorrow. We all want to do the same thing. So, get in line. That line's got a long line of people.
He's pointing out they might have been able to start a gamma squeeze for themselves, but I don't think you're understanding. It takes a while to build whatever position they have in mind. Maybe they've only got 10% of their position established.
Right. Imagine they only bought 2.5 million shares and they wanted to get 12 million.
Yeah.
So walk away and they keep sucking it up. And listen, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see anybody lose a penny, but I can't control people buying a stock. I can't control people selling. That's not my job. My job is to educate. My job, what I choose to do, is to educate you on security fraud. We've tried everything. We've done everything. And I do believe...
Here's Kristen Shaughnessy. She says, so nice. Thank you. You guys are all about exposing the truth, and I'm all about that.
Right. And we're looking for cheap drinks in a bar, too. That's what we like to do. But again, thank you again for everyone who's helped out. We can only do so much. I'm sitting here until I go play my game at 3:30. That's why I had to call a little earlier. I'm willing to answer any calls, any questions.
How can we bet on you in your pickleball game?
I lose all my pickleball games, so you understand. I'm not a winner.
Do you beat the spread?
The one guy calls me the Brooklyn banger. I bash the ball as hard as I can. If you look at tennis players continually hit the ball hard. That's the only way you can learn to get the ball in play, is to continually hit it hard. So I may hit 2 that'll go to the next court or down the block, but 8 is going to rip right into you. All right? I can't help when I'm playing with a partner that can't handle it, you know, because when I hit it hard, a lot of times guys hit it back at us hard. And, you know, my partner is not good enough to handle the rocket back, you know, because they get hit just as hard back when you hit it that hard. But that's the way I play. I'm not here. If we're playing for money, that's a different story. Then I'll dink and dunk with you. But I'm not doing it right now. I'm learning. I'm working on my backhand. My backhand is as good as my forehand, and I hit it hard, very hard. One guy said to me, it looks like I had a lot of anger in that shot today. I told him I was a bad kid. I don't know what to say. It's true. I was looking to take his head off.
Do you think Finger hits the hundreds?
Yes.
Holding $11 calls for the end of August. Can we get a nice run in the next 2, 3, or 4 weeks?
I hope it happens in the next hour for you. No one wants it at 100 faster than me.
Do you follow XRP, XLM, or any crypto?
Nah, I don't follow. I'm not a crypto guy. I did meet with Mr. Hogan, the attorney, Jeremy Hogan, and his wife out of Orlando. Great people, great guy. Follow him, Jeremy Hogan.
This guy's saying there seems to be a correlation between when you hit little old ladies and Finger going up. So maybe you know what to do this afternoon.
I'll go looking for them. I have to tell you, I cringe when I see them out there. I'm like, ugh. I actually tell my opponents before we play now that, you know, be on your toes, because, you know, I do hit it hard. I have no mercy. When you leave the ball up, I just drill it. There's not even a question. And I don't hit it to your side. I go right for your chest. So.
Well.
It's what I do. It's just, that's the way I was taught to play squash, and I played racquetball. I hit the ball hard, and there was, you know, a lot of angles that I used to use, or overhands. But, in this game, it's very different. You have to play like a tennis. Just look at the tennis players. They serve hard. They hit back hard. I don't. When you serve it to me, I'm not hitting it back easy. I hit it harder.
I'm glad I'm in the audience.
I would definitely hit you. Because there's no way. I turn my opponents into bullfighters. All I keep seeing them with a cape moving in and out, moving away quickly. That's what I see.
Several people are saying, could you just go out and buy hot dogs instead of playing pickleball?
I tried that last week. I went to get hot dogs. I'm sorry. I actually I had a shareholder stay with me from South Carolina. I dropped him off at the QE2 the other day in Brooklyn. And we were driving in Lower Manhattan, and I showed him my office where I actually used to go get hot dogs. That cost me a lot of money. He was laughing.
Maybe it's a good thing to do. If you were telling somebody new, what are your 5, 6 quick, rapid points why Finger could squeeze and could do it soon?
Great small flow, great business, the biggest market in the world, the biggest partners in the world. They have partners with the Chinese Telecom, which is the most important part of China is the Telecom. All right, everybody uses a phone. They have the biggest insurance partners between AIZ, Munich Re, Pacific Life Re. They have the short-trapped Lynn partners through the debenture. We know the short number is 160, and a very small float that's owned by mostly insiders. Like, you know, the filings tell the whole story. That's what gives me that Volkswagen appeal, the same version as Volkswagen due to ownership.
That's pretty good. Sign me up.
GTI is completely different. GTI is a retail stock that's owned by everyone in creation. Everyone I know owns GTII, which means to me that is a completely different story, and that when I believe that those new shares that they issue start to become clear the new restricted share, that's going to create a huge problem for the shorts of the brokerage firms. Just like MMTLP was a special dividend, special dividends create problems.
It's like marriage.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't see anything else. When do you go play?
I'm leaving as soon as we hang up.
It's 429. The high on the day was 434.38. 447,000 shares.
Listen, all I could tell you is when you see the stock going back and forth for 100 shares to market down, that's a clear example that the shorts have a problem. They're just trying. That's a tip off. All right. They when you see big pieces of stock trade on the buy side, on the bid side, let's say 422, all of a sudden 12,000 trades at 422. There's no bid. So who the hell knew there was 12,000 to buy? Right?
Right.
That means it's a cross trade because you can't see the bid and the offer. There's nothing there.
Right.
So you can tell when they're washing trades because there's actually, how did 12,000 or 50,000 trade when there's no bid there? Who knows there's a bid there? I want to sell 50,000 right now. All I see is 300.
Yeah. One person asked, "Are we gonna have to go through the squeeze by ourselves, or are you gonna be there on Twitter? Or are you gonna have conference calls?"
Well, if you need me, I'll be here. But if you can't figure out what to do when it's going, remember when you sit there and say, "Oh, my stock, it looks fantastic. It's going." You need to make a sale. The minute you say that, you turn to your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. Say, "Oh my God, my stock's going crazy. What are you supposed to do?" Someone told me I'm supposed to sell a little. That's what you're supposed to do.
You sound like a pump and dumper.
Yes, I'm pumping and dumping. I'm telling you to sell when it helps you, your family. That's what I'm trying to do. There's no diamond hands here. For people who fell into that story about diamond hands, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're, this game is for yourself, your family, your children, whoever you're representing. This is for you. You're not standing here for some stranger standing next to you, even though there's a lot of good people here. Your family situation is different from the person next to you. So wake up. Wall Street doesn't forgive. There's no forgiving on Wall Street. There's no friends. You need to make money. Trade it. You want to leave? Leave. No one cares. You want to, people go, "Oh, you're going to sell the stock, you're going to hurt it." I don't care. I could care less. No one ever helped me with Apple, IBM. Steve Jobs didn't call me up, "Hey, don't sell my stock. I think it's going to go up 1,000 points." He never called me up and told me that. Why I sold a stock that I paid $19 for and I sold it at 24, and it's worth who knows how much it is today. I always told you the story. I was at a wedding with Marty's wife, famous money manager. I don't know if he's still alive. He passed away. He grabbed me up my tie. I was with some very powerful people, and he told me point blank, "Buy this stock and never sell it." I bought 260 or 270,000 shares at $2.50. He told me never to sell it. The stock never moved months. I sat with it. One day it ran to 3.5. My mom was sick with cancer. I needed to buy her a car to take her to chemo in a nice car. So I went out and bought a new Lincoln, nice big 4-door Lincoln to take her in comfort. I sold the stock. I sold it all like an idiot. I sold it at there, made myself whatever, 200-something thousand, paid my tax, whatever, gave it away. The stock went to 300.
Well, you saved on your taxes.
I said, no, I didn't want to pay too much taxes. That's why I sold it. But that was a situation where I had to do something, and it was important to me, but it changed my whole investment philosophy. And I promised I would never sell it, and I did. And, I'm sure he would have said, "I understand," but that's what I did. I should have sold what I needed to buy the car, but I sold it all. And once I sold it, it went up every day. It never stopped. So if you think that you're the only person that happens to, it happens to everybody. And that's why I always say, sell a little, sell a little, sell a little. And this way you get an average price. If I did that, I would have made 10 times more the money, 100 times more the money, and I probably still would have owned some stock today.
Can you explain some of the dynamics that'll make Finger go, let's just say, into the hundreds of dollars? Is it more than people just holding their stock? Isn't it a little?
No. You're gonna have a prime broker covering, new shorts coming in, and that adds the jet fuel. There's new buyers. There's going to be the prime broker buying. There's going to be hedge funds buying. The word gets around the street of the buy-in. So now you got a whole group of people buying, and you have a bunch of investors, hopefully selling a little at a time. How are they going to cover 160 million shares when there's 3,000 for sale at 6, 4,000 for sale at 7, 8,000 sale at 9? It's very hard to buy it when shareholders are working out of it slowly, right?
Yep. Plus, they want certified shares or whatever you call it. They want
guaranteed delivery. But what the killer to the whole thing is that shareholders are educated. You know exactly what the criminals are doing. The only thing we don't know is who is allowing them to leverage and fronting their money. That's all I don't know. That's it. That's the only missing equation is how much money and who's lending the money and who's fronting it. That's it. That's the missing equation. That's it. Other than that, you know everything that we all know the same thing. We see them short. We know what they're doing. We know where the money's always tied to the debenture. Lynn has somebody outside doing it for it. GTII had the Kramers giving it to somebody else doing it in one of their many LLCs, which we posted. It's all right there. You can see it yourself. All the information's always the same thing. You have a short, it's tied to a debenture, and then it's down to the short, the prime broker, and that's it. If the company can't fight back, you get a BBIG. What do? They reverse because they got to stay alive. They need to raise money, and that's the end of the game for the investors. Check back on me with BBIG in a couple of months when the stock is back down to $1 because the shorts are selling it at a higher number again. And why would the shorts continue to go back to that company? Because the company is working, actually playing into their hands. They're using the shorts playbook. It's like the shorts taught them what to do.
So when a short sells shorts, where does the money go? Can you explain that? Is it held up, or does it?
Yeah, held up, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get the money and walk down the street. They don't get out of there. They're going to close their position. Yeah. They knock it down because it shows more money in the bank for them, right? It shows them profitable, right?
Right.
Just go look at a short trade like you do it yourself. If I sold the stock at 10 and it goes to 5, it shows that I have a profit of $5, and your account shows that you're up $5, but until you buy it back, you can't take the money out.
Right.
You may be able to leverage it. These guys may be able to leverage more off of that by holding us down. They may be able to leverage through their prime broker and say, hey, we're up $160 million in the stock. Can we lend us some money? And they go, okay. But if it moves back, they reverse it. That's all.
Right.
You said it before. Margin is good and it's bad. When you're winning, margin is great. I could have bought more. When it's bad, you sit there and say, oh my God, why am I doing this on margin? I just burned myself to death.
Yep.
And that's how it works.
Anyway,
listen, I'm out of here. I'm going to play ball. Have a great day.
All right. Have fun. Thank you very much. Everyone appreciates it. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. We have half an hour. One gentleman asked about, I wrote it down. I think his name was Richard or Robert. Robert said he thinks all is lost in MMTLP. They're drilling slowly and they're not producing. Well, I can't I can't say for sure that the drilling in the Oro Grande is going to be successful until we know. But my understanding is there's some restrictions on the the university leases regarding production, and it has something to do with environmental costs or something. Number one. Number two, the takeaway might not all be built out, so they may be just holding everything behind pipe. Number three, by drilling additional wells with new money rather than producing, you could be expanding the proven nature of the field whilst no one else is there. Number four, they increased their ownership of Oro Grande to 100%, which doesn't show to me that it's a bad field at all. But Robert, if you choose to believe you've lost all your money, that's one way of handling stress. I lost it all. But for the rest of you, I do not believe you're going to lose. Not only are you not going to lose your money in MMTLP, I think you have a chance to make private placement type returns in that investment. I can be wrong. As one woman let me have it on a space call about having high numbers. Well, as far as I know, the high numbers I gave were all after it stopped trading. Maybe 2 or 3 days prior, I talked about the possibilities, but you can't buy more. You can't trade it, but I think MMTLP is not zero. I think your analysis, Robert, is black and white negative thinking. It's fine. That's what makes a market. But I think you're 100% wrong. MMTLP has an answer on July 29. Well, Not Legal Advice mentioned that he expects big news shortly. But I just not picking on him. I'm picking on the legal system. What's big news in the legal system isn't always big news to people in the financial world, because it's just about, well, what can I get out of the stock? Can I trade it? What's the stock doing? How high is it up? How high is it down? Legal is totally different. But you just learn how to live in these different environments. All right, the other thing I want to do Monday, the other thing I want to do is point out call premiums. The stock right now is $4.25 basically. The August 5 calls last Thursday, the ask was 85 cents. Friday it was 60 cents. That's the fives. Today, the August 5, even with the stock up a little bit, is 65 cents. The August 6s, the ask, that's what I'm going by, is 45 cents. So even with the stock up, you could have bought the August 6s on last Thursday for 65 cents, 50 cents on Friday. Today, even with the stock up, it's 45 cents. And this is what a weekend does to call premiums. The August 7th, which would have cost you 55 on Thursday, 40 cents on Friday, are 40 cents today. The August 8th, Thursday 45 cents, Friday 35 cents, 35 cents today. The August 9th, 40 cents on Thursday, 30 cents on Friday, 25 cents today. The August 10th, 35 cents on Thursday, 25 cents on Friday. Today, The 10s are still listed at 25 cents. So it's just trying to keep track of what happens to the premium by waiting until after expiry date. All right, it's 428. Jamaica Mon, it's been 7 months. How is FINRA still protecting investors? Are they still working on it? Well, Jamaica Mon, yeah, 3 new wells permitted last week. Close to the highway, they'll truck the first oil out and then a pipeline. Yeah, Jamaica Mon, I don't want to bore you, but FINRA had a choice to let it trade Friday and Monday, the 9th and the 12th. Instead, they stopped trading. I think partly their constituency isn't investors, it's broker-dealers and members. So it's brokers, broker-dealers. They decided not to allow trading on Friday and Monday. My own opinion is they were shocked to discover that whatever the number is, could be as high as 2 billion, could be 500 million, 1 billion shares did not exist, which were in your accounts, my accounts. And I think a lot of broker dealers called in and said, this is unacceptable. We cannot trade this because you didn't give us enough time. We need further guidance. If we buy in our customers, we're going to be sued, and we're not willing to take that risk without FINRA protecting us and stating what the procedure should be. That's my guess. So they stopped trading. I do not think after the first few weeks went by that trading is an option any longer. I simply do not believe they'll put Humpty Dumpty back on the wall. The second option they had was to do some sort of gray market, some sort of maybe reverse Dutch auction, some sort of let's put a letter out, let each broker-dealer is allowed to offer their clients a buy-in price, see what happens. And if they only get a portion of it, that raise the price. I think that could have happened in the first few weeks / maybe month, 2. It didn't happen. I also now believe that will not happen. The third, and there can be mix and matches of these. The third option was to find somebody with some sort of leverage and power and vision and said, everybody, get around the campfire. We're going to settle this now. Lawyers, go to your room. Nobody did that. The fourth thing that could have happened, I suppose, is a regulator like Gary Gensler, who is completely without a spine, could grow a spine and say, we're going to enforce the rules, come what may. That's not happening. So, Jamaica Mon, the path that has befallen the process for MMTLP is lawyers, courtrooms, further courtrooms, further lawyers, and I'm sure all parties are lawyered up, and I think that number of lawyers could be as much as 250, 300 lawyers all told, and I think to get some sort of solution going the legal route will take at least 2 or 3 years. We're already in it for 7 months, maybe you can take that off. But I still think you're 2, 3, 4, 5 years away. MMTLP, if the only way it gets resolved is in the court system, is years away. Years. But on the hopeful note, Jamaica Man, is this costs money. It costs legal bills. It costs reputational risk. It's going to become clearer and clearer that people are going to go to jail, and maybe a prime broker goes down. But as NextBridge continues to increase the value of what you should have gotten, what I should have gotten at settlement at record date on December 12th, I think the pressure will be ratcheted up on the system to come up with a solution. I have one. I'm not going to bore everyone with it right now. But no, Jamaica Man. It's just because 7 months have gone by doesn't mean a thing. Lawyers, the options of doing things earlier on were passed upon. No, we're not going to trade. No, we're not going to let there be a gray market. No, we're not going to settle this amongst ourselves. We're going to instead go to the highly inefficient, from a market standpoint, method of letting ad hoc lawyers hired by the prime brokers, lawyers hired by the broker dealers, lawyers hired by the criminals, lawyers hired by various parties, duke it out in a fragmented court system which has rules of evidence, rules of procedure, has appeals, has in some cases standing instead of the arbitration clauses which we all signed, but it may not. What has been decided collectively, other than the courage that's been shown by people in this community, many people, lawyers like Rosa, Not Legal Advice, others, mostly there's no courage and there's no leadership. So Jamaica Man, I think 7 months is the beginning of the journey, and we're nowhere near the end. But that's just my assessment of how the legal process works. There are pressures to come to a settlement. I think the biggest of those is that the cost of settlement is going to keep rising as the value of NextBridge keeps rising. I also think the awareness, this group has given 5 or 7 billion with a B impressions of this story out there. So there can be a groundswell which would change the time frame. But you need the regulators and the broker-dealers to make the decision, we're going to enforce this. But until that happens, the default route is the legal route. And that takes TIME. Can Congress force FINRA to settle it? No. I mean, I guess theoretically they could, but do you see that happening? I don't see that happening. Some have had an issue transferring from TDA to Schwab. Well, TDAA may be one of the companies that has a real problem. I think Morgan Stanley might be. Citadel Securities had their first half trading revenue fall. Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer group of guys. So I really hope that I'm wrong, by the way. I really hope there's another, but I don't think in these situations it helps to delude oneself. But having said that, you're not going to get zero. And I think you're going to get private placement returns, which means I think you could get 5x, 10x, 100x on your investment. I don't know. I can't promise what happens. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about that. Finger is 423, 422, 424. I would like to just, because I might not stay on very... what's your hope, MKC? I could be wrong, MKC. I know Jamaica on. It's just... well, if NextBridge has a buyer, it doesn't matter. Guy, look, I have shares, but they're just IOUs. If NextBridge has a buyer, they're not buying my IOUs. So it's still going to be in the legal system. It's still going to be a morass that they wade through. I'd love that, Steve Mertz. I would love that. MMTLP will never trade. Well, I think that's true enough. It's not doesn't change anything I just said. Doesn't. I don't know how much energy I have, guys, to stay on here, but I'll see what I can do. On June 7th of 2023, Recruiter.com announces corporate restructuring, acquires GoLogic. I'm just going to read this out to you. This is a month and a half old. Recruiter.com has announced a definitive agreement for a planned purchase of the fintech assets of GoLogic, GOLQ, a U.S.-based global innovator of fintech and consumer data analytics. The combined companies are valued at $105 million. All right, so there's not much more to that. Let me just read the press release. The company has announced a definitive agreement for a planned purchase of the fintech assets of GoLogic, a U.S.-based global innovator of fintech and consumer data analytics. The agreement values the combined companies at approximately $105 million, with existing Recruiter.com shareholders maintaining approximately 16%. Recruiter.com will continue to be listed on the NASDAQ capital market and plans to change its name to a name and branding that would reflect the new fintech focus of the combined company. Successfully growing from 8 million revenue in 2020 to 25 million in 2022, Recruiter.com now prepares to bifurcate into two distinct public entities. Apparently, Recruiter has AI and chat, GPT, candidate pitch. This is all by way of bringing to your attention that Recruiter.com may be, that's RCRT, 20 cents. If this comes to fruition, if in any kind of 1 month, 2 month, 3 month time frame, RCRT could see a trade, I don't know, double, triple, maybe more in a trade. So I just want to bring that to your attention, RCRT. Yeah, AMC would be great if it ripped. I'm not sure. Ham mentioned that MMTLP, I don't know if he said it could settle by the end of the year. I can't remember. But obviously, it is in the best interests of Wall Street to settle it before the end of the year. Take the losses in 2023 and not carry those losses over in 2024. Remember, if Wall Street were to take $1 trillion or $2 trillion loss, which is what I think they're going to take, they would be able to write that off and make considerable tax savings. So, but it also would destroy their performance for 1 year. It makes no sense to carry it over and linger. But I don't see any indication from Wall Street or from the regulators that they're going to do anything. That could change overnight. But it requires someone to grab the bull by the horn and say, we're going to fix this. I don't see that person. I don't think MMTLP will ever trade. They're not going to let you take down Wall Street. It's I can't believe you aren't as bored talking about it as I am, but and I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that I misspelled it. Okay, fine. Okay, Torchlight was out there. They shorted it massively, illegally. They committed securities fraud and Torchlight went to oblivion. They destroyed a good idea, good concept for their own greed. And Gary Gensler lets it happen because Gary Gensler is, in fact, a puny, senseless, insignificant man. Torchlight said, our asset now is our public listing. So MMAT bought Torchlight. Guess what? Because of our system, completely approved of by Gary Gensler, the huge short positions in Torchlight and the fraud in Torchlight carried over into the newly traded MMAT. It's just how it was. Gary Gensler approves of it. They then took MMAT did not want the Oro Grande or the Hazel Oil assets. They put this into a distribution to shareholders of the, Metamaterials Trust Limited Partnership. Something like that, MMTLP. So they distributed this to shareholders. But remember, the shorts and the fraud, they were able to kick that into MMAT, no problem. Okay by Gary Gensler. If you want to defraud the United States investors, the over-the-counter market, if you want to strip trillions of shares out of U.S. cities, ideas, retirement accounts, as far as Gary Gensler is concerned, go to it. Go to it. So they took that short position, put it over, it carried over in MMAT. But this, they couldn't deliver. Everything else can be delivered electronically. Oh, well, you owe this investor shares of MMAT. Okay, just put an IOU. We'll deliver it eventually. But they couldn't deliver the MMTLP distribution. So the criminals got this to trade. And then they shorted this, but more importantly, the fraud and the shorts could carry over into it. Well, then by almost luck, MMAT said, we're going to distribute the MMTLP into a private company, NextBridge. It caught out the system. But no, MMTLP will never trade again. There isn't anything there. MMTLP doesn't own a thing. All that MMTLP has is the obligation of the system to provide 1/165 millionth of NextBridge or its equivalent value to each shareholder, each holder of one MMTLP. That's the obligation. That's what's being litigated in court. They are taking it through all the scumbag lawyer arguments. Hey, the buyers were greedy. The buyers should never have bought. They bring Jim Cramer in. Caveat emptor. And they're going down the list. It was John Berta's fraud. It was management's fraud. The lawyers have no conscience. On the other side, the lawyers have no conscience. But they'll get through those arguments And the answer is not, you don't want MMTLP to trade. Why the hell would you want MMTLP to trade? I don't get that aspect of. It's like wishing. It's like wishing you could have Christmas over again, or Novak Djokovic wishing he could have the second set tiebreak over again. It's gone. But if you push for trading in MMTLP, you open yourself up for more fraud from the system. Secondly, how are they going to do it? I give the example all the time. What if they say to you, okay, we're going to open MMTLP for trading. What is it? What does it have? It doesn't own anything. It has a vague, ill-defined at this point. To me, it's very clearly defined, but not to the lawyers yet, not to the court system yet. They're duking it out. But it has this sense of obligation. But what is it? So what if they say to you, all right, we're going to let it trade for 2 days? And what if they put the proviso on the end? If you don't trade your shares, you get nothing. What if they say that? You lose all your rights. The stock won't trade above 50 cents. It might not trade above 10 cents. What if they say, the only way we're going to open it up for trading is if everybody signs a release? Everybody. 100%. Or maybe they get the court to say 95%. Or they get the court to say 75% is enough. What if not everybody signs that? What happens to the 25%, 75% sign it? What happens to the 25% that don't? They get zero? If they open it up for trading, you don't think the criminals will figure out ways to sell floods of stock into the market over 2 days and then let God settle it out afterward? You don't want MMTLP to trade. Stop worrying about it. 2, if you want to do something, write to your congressman or senator, write to your governor, call into the SEC if you want. But otherwise, keep a journal of all the trades that would have won if you had the money. And just view it as a private placement that you invest. Sorry about that. So anyway, right now it's in the legal system for MMTLP. I think you have to treat it as a private placement investment that has the potential to give you outsized returns. You're not, in my judgment, going to get zero. You've got the 5 biggest shareholders of NextBridge, but also of MMTLP, also of MMAT, all on your side. You've got lawyers on your side. You have the precedents since Wall Street started under the buttonwood tree on Wall Street. Every contract is honored. All you have now are some loser attorneys on the other side pushing their intellectual arguments as to why their clients don't owe anything. It's not going to fly. But it's a process. And they have the right to be heard. And the judge is going to say, hey, we'll listen to it. She doesn't want to lose on appeal. So, I don't know. Do you ever get bored asking that question? I own MMTLP. And all I can do, I try to do these calls. I go down to Congress, particularly when people are in town. I've tried to write letters. I've called in, but I need to do more calling in. But what good does it do? Can you buy it? Can you sell it? There isn't going to be a settlement in MMTLP anytime soon, unless someone stands up and takes charge of it, either on the regulatory side or on the brokerage side. That person doesn't exist right now. Big Al calls finger to the upside Monday. Calls it finger to the upside. Yeah, you were right. It's all double talk. A lot of it's double talk because depending on who you have on the line, you know more about the problem than they do. Yeah, I think there's a lot of promise in John Stewart and Ham. I agree with you, Tony. Is it possible for finger to hit 4 digits? Yes. A condo in Bangkok. Well, I'd love to visit. Lindo need to buy 152 million stocks. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's exactly right. Is Babig the next GameStop? I really don't know. Patience is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Okay, Metamaterials Torchlight preferred. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Metamaterials Torchlight preferred. Excellent. I don't think they're going to trade any. There isn't anything in MMTLP. The core issue of MMTLP is it caught out the system. And nobody wants to come out and say the United States securities system is full of fictitious, non-existent shares. And the fact is what you and I have in our accounts are just fictitious shares. That's all it is. But the system owes us that equivalency. And that's what's going to be fought about. And I believe ultimately the system is going to lose $1 or $2 trillion, and the lawyers are going to be bloody rich. And we'll be part of a class action settlement that should make us a lot of money. The big winners, as it's going to be right now, are the lawyers. And it's just how it's going. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life. I don't know. I subscribe to the clockwise John Cleese view in a planes, trains, and automobiles type movie. He's been selected to give the speech at the headmasters conference. And everything he tries to get there on time, he can't get there. But each time he gets to one train and then it goes. He gets a car, but he gets in an accident. He gets a ride, and he gets a tractor. He gets every time, every single step of the way, something bad happens. And he said, Laura, it's not the despair, Laura. I can deal with the despair. It's the hope. Do I think MMTLP will pay out $50 a share? No. I think the ultimate settlement, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it in front of everybody right now. I'm just too tired. But I think that the only way to settle this is for NextBridge to issue how many ever shares are fake. NextBridge issues those shares. They're not obligated to. It's not their obligation. But they should issue those shares to the criminals. The criminals disgorge everything they made, including monies they hid offshore. Otherwise, they go to prison. So the money's at the prime broker, the money's offshore, their assets, they give to NextBridge. I think at $1,000 a share is where it will start. $1,100, $1,500 a share. I think $50 or $100 a share will go to the attorneys, maybe $50 for other costs. And then NextBridge becomes the best capitalized oil and gas story, maybe on the planet, but certainly in North America. And they control their own destiny. And they don't have any woke bullshit to deal with from BlackRock. And you get your share because NextBridge is getting the money from the criminals. The shares are issued to you, and everybody, including everyone at AST, receives a cash distribution from the jump from NextBridge, maybe $100 a share. That's how I see it settling out. But they're not there yet. The lawyers are not convinced in their own brains that their clients did anything wrong. The lawyers are not convinced that their clients are going to lose everything. I'm talking about the bad guys. And the lawyers are not convinced their clients are going to go to prison. But as we move further down the road, that's going to become clearer and clearer, in my judgment. On the other hand, the lawyers are not convinced that the shares of NextBridge are worth anything because they're lawyers. They have no clue. They see the last trade at 287. That's what it's worth. But wait a minute, before we get there, the buyers committed fraud. How did we commit fraud? We didn't commit any fraud. And then they're going to say, oh, it's on FINRA. They committed fraud. I'm not 100% convinced FINRA committed fraud. They may have, there may be issues of negligence and stupidity and responsibility. But that's not going to fly with a judge. And then, I don't know. Do you ever get bored with a story? The lawyers are going to argue that they should just, that all of us took the risk. We knew what the risk was. We are not owed anything. That's not going to fly. Then they're going to say they should just unwind the trades. That's not going to fly either. Then they're going to argue only the people that were in Torchlight should get it, not the new buyers. How do you define that? How are you in the system? You're not going to figure out where those are. Maybe you could. I don't know. But that's not going to work. But they'll go through it. Take time. Take 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. Back and forth, filing, another filing, your honor, your offer, and it'll go on and on and on. Then they're going to argue, well, let's just give everybody $12 a share. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. But they're going to have to go through every one of those scenarios like the dunderheads that they are. They're just blockheads. I'm talking about the lawyers on the other side. They're just filling out, going through each strategy. Finally, they're going to recognize and they'll tell their clients, if you do not settle, you're going to prison and you're going to lose everything. But we believe we can make a settlement. Here it is. Here's the parameters. They're going to have to... Anyway, I'm bored talking about it. FINRA didn't do their job. I don't agree with that. The SEC approved the distribution, to my memory, either on the Friday or the Monday. The Friday before or the Monday of the week that FINRA approved it. So FINRA had maybe 3 days, 5 days, to my memory. FINRA approved the stock for trading either Wednesday afternoon or maybe it was Tuesday afternoon. I think it was Wednesday afternoon. I mean, it was trading, but you know what I mean. The record date, the X date, all of that. There's 105 broker-dealers. Just think it through for yourselves. The DTCC has 165 million shares allocated. That's it. But in the 105 broker-dealers, there could be as much as 2.5 billion shares, or maybe it's 500 million, sitting in clients' accounts. And FINRA only had a couple, 3 days to make their own decision. And then FINRA said, okay, get it settled up by Monday. That's the effective date. Record date is Thursday. Trade Friday and Monday. And we're done. Broker-dealers looked at this and called them up and said, you know what? DTC only says we have 50,000 shares, but on our books we have 5 million shares. FINRA, how do you propose that we fix this? You haven't given us enough time to notice our investors either by mail or even by phone. Are you suggesting we buy them in without notifying them first? We don't have a chance to call the other side of the trades and say, where are the shares that are located? And FINRA said, well, we don't know. Just let the short go over to the new position. It's always worked in the past. But this is a private stock. So FINRA, I think, received hundreds of phone calls. FINRA had a escape valve in the securities law that said if the settlement into a private company cannot happen, you have a right to halt the trading. That's what they did. I don't know. FINRA may have traded the stock in their own account, which is massive fraud and massive conflict of interest, and puts their entire $2.5 billion worth of funds at risk, in my judgment. So I'm not letting FINRA off scot-free. But you're not allowing for the human nature of this. How, if you're in FINRA and you're receiving phone calls all afternoon and evening Wednesday and Thursday morning and all day Thursday saying we cannot do this without further direction? Do you understand the problem here? We're going to go out of business. So FINRA protected its members, the broker dealers, by shutting it down. That's their job. By blaming FINRA, you're blaming the wrong people. And get over it. They're not going to let you have 2 days to trade. And guess what? You don't want them. You don't want 2 days to trade. Unless the rules, they can recreate it, but they can't recreate it. Just get over that part of it, in my judgment. I don't know what we're learning or what I'm teaching by talking about it over and over and over and over and over again. I don't get it. Yes, Samo, I don't think it's going to trade. There's nothing. Do you guys realize that MMAT had an obligation to distribute 164,735,300 or whatever the number was units of Meta Materials Torch Light Preferred. That's it. That was their obligation. They distributed it. DTCC has just under 165 million of those shares to either put out in the shareholder's street name at AST or to deliver, in the name of the shareholder, or to deliver in street name to the brokerage firms. Somewhere, something between 500 million and 2.5 billion MMTLP shares were sold to you and to me that don't exist. It's fraud. They don't exist. If you went to the grocery store and we're in the middle of a crisis, and this store only took cash, at the entrance, as you come in the parking lot, you would have to exchange your you'd have to give a credit card, debit card, or change a check for cash to go into the grocery store to buy your goods. But all these people, it's a panic. All these people set up shop, the money changers. And as you make change, let's just say 10% of the cash is real, 90% is counterfeit. But you can't tell that if your cash is counterfeit or not. You go into the grocery store and you buy your water and your diapers and your medicines, your case of wine, and stock up on foodstuffs for a month. And you're pushing your card out. You get to the cashier, and he pulls your money, and he has a yellow pen, and he goes through it all. These are fake. This isn't real money. You can't take your goods out in that case. But if you're one of the ones with real money, you can. It's not a perfectly good analogy. Because it's up to the brokerage firm who they allocate their real shares to. Most of us are sitting with counterfeit shares. That's the fraud. It's not FINRA's fraud per se. It's not this goober Gensler. Although they don't enforce the rules, the fraud was committed by the criminals. They destroyed Torchlight, who had a good asset. But to Gary Gensler and the SEC, that's the CEO, bad job, boo, boo, hiss, hiss. But you can see the asset's real. But the people sitting in Germany, in Panama, and in Chicago, in New York, these cocky MFs, they're the ones that defrauded investors in Torchlight and Torchlight, defrauded Texas. And then when John Berta said, I've got to do something for my shareholders, he sold his shell. They defrauded MMAT and investors in MMAT. FINRA, run by a bunch of simply unqualified people. Yeah, it's working. They're just moving the shorts. From Torchlight, went into MMAT. Everything's fine. SEC doesn't care about over-the-counter markets. Just does not care. There's no reward to any underling in taking a case in the over-the-counter markets because Gary Gensler does not care about fraud in the over-the-counter markets. So the criminals defrauded Torchlight, defrauded MMAT, and then when they got caught, they couldn't kick the can down the road any further. They got MMTLP to trade. Fraudulently, probably. But the SEC and FINRA approved it. So you did nothing wrong. MMAT did nothing wrong. Nexbridge did nothing wrong. FINRA's incompetent. The SEC's captured by Goldman Sachs. And we're sitting here with a 500 million or 2 billion shares, probably worth, I'm going to guess, I don't know, but they could be worth $150, $200 a share. And then how do you adjust for the dilution? Anyway, I think ultimately it's going to be over $1,000 a share. But why does this help us? What can you do tomorrow? Can you sell your stock tomorrow? If MMTLP runs, can you get out? Can you sell 10%? And then I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I own the stock. It's in my accounts. I can't trade it. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't file a lawsuit. I'm doing everything I can think to do to make a difference in MMTLP's case. I run out of ideas. I did videos down in front of the SEC. I talked to John Stewart and Maria Bartiromo. That went nowhere. I don't blame them for going nowhere. Who the heck am I? But my sales manager used to say, let's not beat a dead horse to death, which I never understood. But I think now I'm understanding. All right, so 5 calls of finger at $6. I bought, let me see what I bought some today. Let me see. I bought 5s and 6s. I bought 5s and 6s today. So we'll see how those trade. There are no police. Thank you, Phil Bill. I'm telling you, the frustration is this wouldn't have happened to you or me if Gary Gensler enforced the rules. He does not. I can't tell you how to change that. I just can't tell you. I've explained to you that I think GTII was squeezing. The same things people are all excited about AMC now. Fidelity's paying 1,000%. That was happening in GTII. A bunch of your friends, people on your side, told you to sell and move over to something else. And they're all in the fight, so they're good guys. But by doing that, collectively, we let the pressure off on GTII. So everyone goes, oh, when's it going to go? We've been in it forever, blah, blah, blah. But it was happening. But not allowed to criticize. I think the setup's better now. So that's the good thing. But, yeah, I think you did the right thing to buy the 5 calls. I think that's great. What's going on with AMC? It's 250 million shares. The stock is down. They have it under complete control. You don't know how many shorts are in there. You don't know how who's helping who. The company has debt issues. It's going to sell and make a deal with the shorts, in my judgment. If you were able to trade in the aftermarkets on Friday, you could have sold at 7 or 8, over $7. Today it was as high as 623. All day long you could have sold above 550. Now it's under 550. And I don't know much else to tell you about AMC. All right. Ape is running up. That's great. I I really hope everybody makes so much money in APE and AMC. I just think the big boys have that under control. But I will recommend George Donahue's videos if he's still doing them on AMC and GME. He makes a really compelling case that the short position is enormous. Finger is trading after market down at 415, but the ask is 435, which is just incredible. I can't tell you what the volume is. Now it's and now it traded at 431. So we'll see how it closes at 8 o'clock. Look, it's 433. Just pay us. MMTLP has to settle or trade no matter what. FINRA put the word canceled on the S1 when it should have been deleted. That caused enough. I say I'm not smart enough to figure out the difference between canceled and deleted. That shows how much of an idiot I am. Thank you, Knutz. I shouldn't talk about MMTLP. I get too impatient, and it's not fair to you guys. All right, so on GoLogic, I tried to highlight that deal they announced 6 weeks ago. And on Logic, my understanding is that the SEC came back for comments a fourth time, which I don't think was expected. But all the answers went in last week, and some sooner than last week. And it's possible that the S4 gets approved this week. If so, you've got probably a 10-day to 2-week period to put out the proxy for the votes. So this week is July. Next week is August. Even if it goes to next week, to do the vote and the notice and all that's probably 2 weeks. So maybe you get this done in the 4th or 5th week of July. And I think Logic is worth 4 or 5 times where it's trading once that's done. John Pinella, everything that has been said about many stocks over the past years, GME, AMC, Mullen, Finger, MMTLP, MMET, GTII, BBY, has been true, but nothing ever happens. Well, one of my bugaboos is that GTII, it was happening. And some of your advisors told you to leave it, and it didn't happen. Is that our fault? Because we got out and we went to another stock? Is it our fault, or I don't know. Mullen, they took a deal. AMC and GME, I wasn't involved in, but I know that AMC took multiple deals. I don't know what happened with GME. MMTLP traded until the FINRA pulled the trading. That's not something anybody could have predicted. I believe it was one person's decision to stop trading. That's called in theater Deus ex machina. MMAT, great company, they did a deal. Destroyed their denominator. I just explained to you GTII was squeezing, in my judgment, collectively we decided to take the pressure off the system. Does that mean nothing happened? You can't have it both ways. And I'm not blaming you, but if everyone said, hey, this is a better deal over here, and they let go of the fishing line and the fish gets away, BBBY, I have no idea anything about that stock. I never liked it. If this is the best buy, it's bankrupt. Why anyone would still even put it on a list makes no sense to me. Aside with what happened with GME, not one short squeeze has occurred where retail made a bunch of monies. Well, that's true. One squeeze was in process with COSM. And the way I remember the pennies, it went from around 20 cents to 84 cents. And then the CEO did a deal at 40 cents. And the stock now is under 20 cents. CLNV started to run, and the CEO did a deal. MULN had a run-in place going. They didn't listen to Ham. They did a deal. The lawyer said you can't listen to Ham. Vocal, CRTD, had a deal with GTII, renegotiated it, walked away. Instead of taking a $3 deal, the stock trades for 5 cents. It's not so much that the shorts are so powerful only. It's that there are human decisions that go on as well. We are a bunch of retail sheep that they know how to play. We are the ass end of Wall Street. So we have to be smarter. We have to unite without collusion. And we have to be brave enough to allow our thoughts, if we've done our due diligence, to override our fear. And then we have to let our thoughts override our greed. Professional traders master that. We're all still learning it. Hertz was bankrupt, and look at their price now. That's a fair point. Hertz was one of those. I would have been wrong on that. They did some sort of weird financings. Now, when you say Hertz was bankrupt, look at their share price right now. You're jumping a few events. I have no idea if one had purchased Hertz shares while it was in bankruptcy, that those same shares are the ones that are trading at the high price. It may be that those Hertz shares got crammed down and now the stock's trading up higher. I don't know. I'd have to look. But let me look up BBNY. They sold this BBY. They sold everything they own in bankruptcy. And people still expect them to pay back, I think it's $1.5 billion of debt still remaining. They have no way to earn money left. And people are still expecting this to be a good stock. But you're right. It's 32 cents. So I've been wrong. It's holding up like a champion. So I would stick with your knowledge rather than mine. Shares of bankrupt Bed Bath & Beyond rose 11% Monday, with the stock climbing in the face of the company's well-publicized problems. Bed Bath & Beyond continues to attract attention in the manner of a so-called meme stock, even after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in April and subsequent delisting from the NASDAQ exchange. The stock has been trading over the counter since May 4th, and liquidation sales are underway at hundreds of stores. Earlier this month, Bed Bath & Beyond canceled a going concern auction for its Bye 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 Baby stores amid a deal for Bye Bye Baby's intellectual property. Bed Bath & Beyond's selected Dream on Me Industries as the winning bidder for Bye Bye Baby's intellectual property assets, with a bid of approximately $15.5 million. The history of stocks emerging from bankruptcy is not very good, says one bankruptcy lawyer. The recent movement in Bed Bath & Beyond stock has shown a spotlight on the attraction that bankrupt companies hold for some investors. Bed Bath & Beyond shares have risen 40% in the last month, despite the bankruptcy home goods retailers' well-documented woes. Howard Ehrenberg, a bankruptcy and reorganization practice partner at the firm of Greenspoon and Murder, said that while he can't discuss Bed Bath & Beyond specifically, bankrupt company stocks are fraught with problems for investors. Overall, anyone who buys and holds the stock of a bankrupt entity is almost assuredly going to lose their money. If you own Bed Bath & Beyond at 31 cents, I respectively submit you should sell it and buy Logic, LGIQ, at 30 cents. I think that'll be worth $1. Shares of Hertz Global Inc., which filed for bankruptcy protection in 2020 and exited bankruptcy the next year, trade at around $19, well below an all-time closing high of $109. But it's higher than maybe some of you bought it up. Bed Bath & Beyond filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in April and was delisted from NASDAQ. Trading over the counter since May 4th with liquidation sales underway at hundreds of stores, the stock nonetheless continues to attract attention. Since the bankruptcy filing, investors have spent almost $200 million trading theoretically worthless shares, the Financial Times reported. Some users on Twitter and Reddit have cited the retailer in conjunction with Teddy, an apparent reference to Teddy Holdings, which last year filed a series of trademark applications with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. While Teddy Holdings is apparently linked to activist investor Ryan Cohen, at this stage there is no indication that the holding company will play a part in Bed Bath & Beyond's bankruptcy process. Ehrenberg says he sees parallels between the purchase of shares in bankrupt companies and the meme stock phenomena of recent years. They are clearly retail investors, largely on Robinhood, and readers of Reddit. They are people buying on rumor and hoping that by participating in a mass purchase binge, they will make money. Related Bed Bath & Beyond investors have spent $200 million trading worthless shares. Will this holding company help them? To me, it's more like gambling than it is about true financial analysis of the company stock, Annenberg added. In a recent paper, James Clooney, a director at investment consultancy Long Short Consulting and honorary professor of the University of Edinburgh, and Patrick Cholanas, a visiting professor of cognitive economics at Edinburgh Business School, describe how narratives can influence trading. It is well understood that narratives can stimulate trading, which influences prices and can change business reality, and back again in a recursive pattern. So what I understand's happened is that Bed Bath & Beyond sold everything for like $20 million. They restructured some of their debt. They're selling their stores, liquidating their inventory. They still have over $1.5 billion in debt. And the only thing maybe that's still left, this buy baby, which it looks like the price for it is $15 million. I don't see how shareholders end up with anything. Zero is my call on Bed Bath & Beyond. And right now, you have an opportunity to swap out a Bed Bath & Beyond, which even if you're bullish on it, you can't tell me you think it's going to go over $1. I don't think you can. And you can't tell me there's no risk. So I can't give you financial advice, but if I were in your shoes, I'd run, not walk, and sell every bit of Bed Bath & Beyond, and I would buy LGIQ at 30 cents, or I would buy any other stock that you have on your list. Really? The CEO jumped off of a skyscraper? Ugh. Well, when they create big spreads, they're just crossing trades with each other. I've shown you how they do it, but look. I'm sorry that this market is so difficult to understand. But if you can operate on a couple of premises, Gary Gensler works for Goldman Sachs. He's also sucking up to the powers to be because, in my judgment, he wants to be Secretary of the Treasury in a second Biden administration. Biden's going to be reelected because he's been a terrific president compared to the last disaster president we had. Most popular president in history. It was one of the most watched elections in history. So I would expect that Gary Gensler has an even up shot of being Secretary of the Treasury. How then can he parlay that? Well, the Treasury works very closely with Goldman Sachs. Gary Gensler's fortune is $125 million, mostly from his time at Goldman Sachs. He also ran a large candidate's political campaign. So one of the facts you have to face is the SEC is not going to protect you from fraud in the over-the-counter markets. They're not. Second thing is, if the SEC goes against somebody like Sabi, they're just going to slap them on the wrist. Third thing is, the criminals have developed a process which is basically better than selling drugs out of Colombia. It's better than being any of the mafia schemes. This is the single best crime in the world. People don't go to jail. If you're arrested, you're never arrested, but if you make a settlement with the SEC, it's basically a hold harmless, and you can continue to crime. So these are the facts. Goldman and other prime brokers, this is the biggest source of their revenue. The pools of money that you put investments in, whether it's at Citadel or at SAC or BlackRock or others, they take advantage of this trading to goose their returns. Everybody's in on it. So these are the facts. Another fact is that there are short squeezes out there. Many of them. Dozens. Most of you participated in two, AMC and GME. You didn't get out. I don't know why you didn't get out of some of it. But I didn't participate in GME and AMC. But what is the investment thesis in Finger and GTII is, in the case of GTII, you have management working alongside you to make a squeeze happen. There's some negatives. There's not a lot of fundamentals. Every deal they announce doesn't seem to go through yet. There's some insider trading, selling. How do we know the short is as big as it is? Well, that's the other thing we know. Gary Gensler and the SEC prefer the markets to be non-transparent. The markets are not transparent. With Finger, you've got tremendous fundamentals, a huge short position, but same people will say, that's impossible. So that you got to make your thesis. Is there a large short position that has to be covered? I think in both cases the answer is yes. Are we ever going to see the squeeze that happened in other companies? I think the answer is yes, but until we do, I can't speak with authority. I can't say definitely. So we buy early. Our arbitrage is time. If Finger were to squeeze and you didn't own any stock, it could open at 20, 30, 50 in the morning and you'll never get to buy any. So that's the frustration. But nobody on Wall Street's trying to help you make money. The SEC couldn't care less if you make money. Even further, they couldn't care if you lose money. They want jobs at Goldman Sachs. You're starting to believe GTII will actually squeeze before Finger. It's possible. AMC could be very interesting. You feel like you're watching Friday's video. You know what, Greg, on that note, that means to me that I'm off the rails. And it's probably not fair to any of the listeners that I am. So it's not you, it's me. I'm going to end it in 3 minutes. Let's just look at AMC. I've got to learn, Greg, how to just say I'm not going to answer that question. and just move on. AMC's 535. I'm not all that excited by AMC, but I hope it works. I really hope it works. Finger is 416. I think today's action in Finger was excellent. They were unable to drive it lower. It's not to say that they won't try again, but I think that's tremendous. I want to look at MMAT. 22 cents for MMAT. BBBYQ, 32 cents. Logic, $28.50, 32 on the ask. RCRT closed at 20 cents. It's another one. You could get out of, if you just want to trade, get out of some of your BB and Y by RCRT. If RCRT goes to 50 cents or something higher, maybe, trade it, get out. We have a saying, you may have it here in Tennessee. Fool me once, fool me, we're not going to be fooled again. Donations are the new payoffs. You know, Dominic Pantaleo, one of the great things about our country was the relative lack of corruption. But I don't know. It's depressing. AMC Pumper. I'm not impressed with AMC, and I feel uncomfortable recommending that people buy it. On the other hand, there is action in the stock, but that's right, Jordan. All right, so I'm going to say goodnight because I think Greg was right. It's just me getting agitated just like I did Friday. I've got to learn how to be different than that. It's not good. So anyway, I wish you peace, love, and happiness, and all the best. This week I think is going to be slow, but at any time, the mood could change. I think as we get into next week, the following week, the next few weeks could be interesting. Ape and bought Finger, that's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you guys, everybody. So we'll catch you on the flip side.